Hello, everyone. Happy build. Well, hopefully it's over. Otherwise, we're crashing it. That would be weird, Christos, if we're crashing build yet again.
Indeed. Happy time zone, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Donna Sarkar. I am the principal advocate for the Power Platform and Fusion teams here at Microsoft, and my lovely co-host that I'm not pointing at.
Yep. And I'm Christos Matskas. I'm a program manager for the developer advocacy team at Microsoft Identity. And we're going to be your host for the next hour, talking to our awesome audience. We're going to be asking the experts about build and what they felt, what they liked, what they're going to be doing, what they're going to be learning going forward. Mm-hmm. And then we have an exciting day following that with sessions and Hello World and all that. But let's dive right in. How was your build, Donna? You were fantastic with Seth on stage.
Oh, thank you. You were very kind. We're lucky we're not in jail, honestly, because we broke so much stuff. I was shocked at how much breakable stuff there was and how much it was just random. First there's a table, and then there's a thing. Then there's 3D printed objects as part of, send in your graphics and then we will 3D print them. Then we're like, ooh, stuff to play with. And they're like, no. So they super glued each thing down to the rail. They're like, don't touch them. We're like, wow. Did you do that for us? They were like, yes, they were unglued the rest of the time until you got here.
And I saw we're replacing Seth with this new blob of...
It was a blob of duct tape and paper.
Yes.
So we'd gone off, and when we came back, the production crew had made this blob of duct tape and paper and put eyeballs on it and a tiny paper knife that says Cornelius with a thing of corn nuts, a snack pack of corn nuts. And it was there in Seth's spot when we came back from break. And we were like, what is that? And they were like, we got you another co-host. So we were like, well, we just got to work with this now.
Well, AI and ML may take over next year, so who knows?
This is what I'm saying.
Cornelius presenting the build 2022.
Yeah. Do we have panelists, or are we just going to talk to ourselves? Because that would be weird, Christos.
We definitely
we can.
We have some fantastic people.
Let's see if we've got people. I hear Laurent's here. Is he? Yes. I hear Fantip is here.
Hello.
He does so much Power Platform work for us in Thailand. Hey, Fantip. I hear Rutha's here. Rutha's here. There she is. Rutha's here. And then our friend Cheryl Adams is here, who's also on our team.
Yeah.
The Morgan Bell, of course, is here. And we've got
Gregor.
Gregor's here. That's right. Gregor's here. And then Arpita's here, who's also a student ambassador focusing on Tech for Good. Then our friend Shree's here.
Yes. Welcome, everyone.
Well, here you're nice all here. Look, they didn't abandon us like I thought they would.
No, and I think everyone's from a different time zone or a different place in the world. So maybe we should kick off the introductions, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Laurent, tell us who you are and what you do, and tag someone else to go next.
Hey, Donna, with pleasure. I'm Laurent. I'm based in Zurich, Switzerland. I'm a cloud advocate, and I worked on build mostly backstage and creating the pages where you can see all the on-demand videos. So that was what I was doing. And now I'm going to tag Morgan.
Tag I'm it. Hey everybody, I'm Morgan Bell. I'm a program manager in our advocacy organization, focusing on students and student developers. I was so excited to get to host the Student Zone at Build this year, and also lots of behind the scenes work as well. It is 8:05 a.m. where I am at on the Pacific time zone in Redmond, Washington. And I have now been awake for over 5 hours today alone. So goes to show our dedication and commitment to build.
Who should introduce?
Oh, I'm supposed to tag somebody.
Yeah, everyone tag someone.
Oh, I don't know who to tag. Shri.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Shri Bhuvneshri Samantla from Hyderabad, India. I'm a Microsoft Learn student ambassador, and I'm so glad to be here to talk about the different things we enjoyed in Microsoft Build. I'm a junior from computer science engineering, and I love coding and building new apps, and it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Who should go next, Shri?
Rutha.
Hi everyone, I'm Rutha. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I'm in the developer care team. here at Microsoft, working on amplifying Microsoft Q&A, Auth SDK, and supportability. I had a really great time at Microsoft Build. My favorite part was the into sessions.
Ooh, love it. Who should go next?
Cheryl.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl Adams. I actually work on the content team of SQL Docs. So my specialties are migration, high availability, and business continuity. I had an opportunity to be part of the studio audience, which was a very unique experience. I always look forward to attending Build to see what's new and what are new things that I can try. And let's see, who can I tag? Gregor?
Yep. Hi everyone, my name is Gregor Sutty. I live in Scotland. I'm an Azure architect and an Azure MVP. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I work for a company in the Netherlands called Intercept. And I've really enjoyed being part of the live audience here at Build. So I'm going to choose Pantip to go next.
Yep. Hello, everyone. My name is Pantip. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, Go Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and former Microsoft intern from Thailand. So it's it's 10 p.m. in Thailand right now, and I run the local student developer community called Spark Tech Thailand. And nice to meet you, every one of you. And
I think
yeah, the
just
last
Arpita.
one. Yeah, Avita. Yep. Here you go.
Hi everyone, I was back the last year. I'm a Microsoft Student Ambassador. I'm from Delhi, India, and currently I'm pursuing a bachelor's in computer science. And it's 8:38 p.m. here, and I've been hooked to Build since the very morning. Thank you.
Oh, well.
So much dedication in this panel. I love it. I love to see it. Love to see it. Okay,
That's that commitment, you know.
Many of you were part of the live student audience for Into Focus. Gregor, Pantip, Cheryl, Rutha, Arpita, and Shri. So tell us a little bit about that, because Christos and I were not in the live student audience, I know, or the live audience. Shocking, I know. So tell us, what was it like to be a part of the member, and who was the surprise guest during the segment, and what was your reaction? Tell us.
Can I go first?
Yeah. What are these questions you're asking? Just go.
Okay. So when I joined, I was very excited that I've been selected to be there, and then we were going through the rehearsals and everything, and it felt awesome because talking to so many people, I got to know a lot. And then suddenly, when we were in the rehearsals, we had, for a moment, there was the surprise guest team waiting in the lobby, and I was like, maybe it's a recording. Then they admitted a surprise guest in, and I was still thinking, maybe it's a recording. And then he started talking to us. The surprise guest was Satya Nadella, and it slowed down. I could not believe it. I mean, I remember I was sitting like this, and then I went like.
All right, for people who didn't tune in and have no idea what we were talking about, who was the surprise guest?
Satya.
Exactly. See, if you didn't see Into Focus, OMG, you missed on a fun conversation he had with our live audience. So you should tune into that. It's right after the show. It's in 50 minutes. We kick off the 2-hour Into Focus. You should watch it, even if you have it going on in the background. It was a great one. All right, Cheryl, so what did you think? You were part of this audience.
Well, I had actually not ever participated in teams altogether before, so that was kind of a unique experience. I didn't realize that I was short, so that was like a very awakening and surprising. As I saw all the other people, and even though we're virtual, I definitely felt my size in the altogether team. I felt like a little kid. I needed a Happy Meal or something. But I did like was just the energy from the individuals that were in our group. I was one of the ambassadors that got to talk to people before they joined, and just hearing all the stories and the sincerity and interest in wanting to learn, and just it was just a great experience to see that much positivity in that space.
Definitely. You all kept the energy so good. I loved it. So Pantip, anything cool from being behind the scenes that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think when I was in the rehearsal, when Satya joined the meeting, I was in 3 a.m. in Thailand, and I just feel
Oh,
woke up. I just don't know what to say. I just shocked. Yeah, but I'm glad to be one of the virtual audience in the Into Focus, and very exciting to just watch and learn with all many great people from around the world. Yeah.
I love it. So, Arpita, how did you feel during this whole entire thing? And just Shri, how did you feel during this whole thing and just being a part of this audience from where you
Actually,
are?
you can continue.
Am I missing you?
Go on, Sri.
Go on, Shri. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I can continue from where Arpita left. Actually,
Yes.
we were all in the rehearsals and we
Um,
were actually enjoying the entire conversation that Scott was talking about what's happening in the backstage and everything. And then Satya just enters and we were like all shocked. And in India, even I joined around 2:30 a.m. So I was like really excited about it. And when I actually saw Satya, I was like smiling so wide. I couldn't just like with all my teeth. And then I also got to ask him a question, which I was like so happy and thrilled.
mhm.
And that was the first time I ever joined in the virtual live audience in MS Build, and I got to ask a question.
I love it. That's pretty
And then,
cool.
yeah, it was like so exciting. And then I got to ask a question. He was like, "Hi, Shri, glad you could participate." He was like, "Hi, Shri." I was like, "Oh my God, Satya just called out my name." So it was so fun. The entire event was so fun. I could talk to a lot of people. The backstage, we could like see the entire event from a third eye view. So the entire event was like really amazing.
You know what's so funny is Satya loves to talk to all of you. It's like his favorite thing. And he doesn't get to do it that often because, you know, he's usually busy approving things or watching, you know, people present stuff. But it's his favorite, even at a real build, like in-person build. His favorite thing was when he gets to walk around and meet like the groups of students, the new groups of new hires, groups of this, groups of that. And that is a really, really cool time for him because he gets to actually talk one-on-one with build participants and get their take on the event, the tech, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really, really fun to watch this happen virtually as well. So Gregor, what did you think of all of these shenanigans?
I couldn't actually believe it. Just to even get accepted and to be able to take part was amazing. The fact I got to spend a good couple of hours with all these new people from all around the world, it was really great to to meet these people and kind of get to know them. And it was also really interesting to get a bit of an insight into all of the stuff that goes on in the background, all the production staff and all the people who kind of run this show, just to get an insight into what it's all about. So it was great, and it was also nice to speak to Scott off camera. That was good as well. So it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about Build All Up. Christos, I bet he's got a bunch of questions for all of you.
Oh God, I got so many questions, and there has been a ton of announcement and ton of new features and releases. We saw in the keynotes, we saw sessions. So I'm curious to hear what you found the most interesting or the most exciting announcement or feature that you want to talk about. So let's go with a round robin and see what you like the most and what you're going to be looking at going forward. So let's start with Morgan.
Well, I spent all of my time in the student zone, which was fantastic. So I need to go catch up on most of the announcements. Code Tour was something that I learned about, though, during one of our sessions, which was super cool. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out in VS Code. Oh, and VS Code Pets, also very cool, also a lot of fun. Some of my favorite things, though, we did everything in the student zone from intros to VS Code and GitHub to C#, Python, JavaScript. So we really tried having a well-rounded set of materials for all of the students. And we had a real astronaut join us, which was super cool. He actually came from a programming and development background, actually went to UW, which is right here in the Seattle area, and just talked about how, of course, things about space, but I really loved his take of we have to really think about Earth and, you know, what's below the surface of the ocean and then what's on land and then how do we keep going up? And we really need an in-depth understanding of those things to even think about space and how we can apply everything to it. And I thought that was a really interesting and unique take on it. And then, of course, we had a career panel, advice about how to get into software development. The last session that I just wrapped up before this with my friend Chloe Condon, who a lot of you may know, we had some great conversations and showed off some cool stuff in Make Code, which is one of my all-time favorite products. So it was really just a fantastic time. And I'll say it just like Satya. That's why I love my job being on the student advocacy team, is because I get to work with students day in and day out, and especially interacting with new ones. Although I would have preferred it to be in person, and I can't wait till we get back there. It was great interacting with students all over the world, even if it was just, in a chat box for now.
Perfect. And most of the stuff that you did are already recorded, which means that people can go and watch them on demand. And I think, do students work with Microsoft Learn? Is that what your platform for pointing people to go and learn new stuff? Is that the best place to go?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually did all of our sessions live, believe it or not. That's why we were up at crazy hours. But yes, they are starting to get posted on the Build website. I know some of our sessions from the first day are already up there, so people should for sure check them out. We do have a student landing page that we did on Learn. So it's kind of a collection of things that we went over at Build, and then other things that we recommend for students. We also put together a GitHub repo for students. So if they wanted to go and learn about the different projects that were shown or things that they can build, if they want to, fork off the repo or whatever it may be, they can go check that out. The short URL for filtering off of the build page is just aka.ms/build SZ for Student Zone. And then all of the resources are linked to all of our sessions there. So people should feel free to go back and watch, and especially follow along with the demos. Take it at your own pace and find something that's interesting to you, because I can guarantee you will find something on there.
I might check it as well. I'm still a student, still learning.
We all
What about you, Pantip? What did you find as the most exciting bit of Build this year?
Yeah, so for me, I like many things and many announcements from this build this year. But one thing I want to share is the enhanced Microsoft Team extensibility for the meeting. So the together mode extensibility that let the developer to create custom scene for Teams meeting and share with the user. So I like that where we can customize the together mode scene, and it's provided easy design experience with the developer portal, so everyone and developer can make meeting more engaging. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I have to say that together mode and expanding the platform to make it more developer friendly is great. How about you, Laurent? I know you were backstage doing things, but you saw some things coming out, and I'm pretty sure you're excited about some of them.
Yeah, like you said, I was backstage a lot, so I actually was pretty busy. But I always had the build stream, on one of my monitors, and I think the stuff I'm the most excited about is what I've been doing for more than 20 years, which is all the .NET innovation, which is. I'm amazed that I literally started doing .NET in 2001, and 20 years later, we are still excited about news. And I've been very much in the Blazor space recently, so it's been quite exciting to see, the unification coming in with .NET 6, and especially the fact that now you can actually have your Blazor applications running on the desktop, so you can kind of embed them. And I am going to put myself back in focus. Voila, sorry about that. So that is cool. And also, of course, being in Azure, I also enjoyed very much, seeing the announcement. And one thing that was really interesting for me is that you can now have apparently your own Azure region, which I love that, because I want to be the king of my own Azure region, and so I'm totally going to check it out. So basically, for those who didn't hear the announcement, it's a way to run a lot of our service on Azure Stack and on some embedded devices. And now we have even more than before. You can run Azure functions and everything out of your own living room if you want. And I think that having the lohun.ch region sounds very interesting.
I know I'll be deploying my resources to the Laurent region from now on.
I'm not sure I'm going to let you do that. I'm a little bit worried, but we'll see.
Capacity issues. I understand. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I just want to mention, because a lot of people were talking about watching the sessions on demand, and that's going to occupy my time for the next probably until the next build, pretty much. And so what I was doing backstage was creating the pages where you can see all those sessions. So if you go to docs.microsoft.com/events, and then you can see the build events, and we are continuously adding new sessions over the next few days. You'll be able to see that. We all have, for example, the students sessions there and everything else. So you can go and check it out.
Awesome work. Thanks for your hard work. What about you, Ritha? What about you? What was your favorite bit?
So by far, of course, the Intel Focus, being part of the audience, the surprise was huge, something I'll always remember forever. But also the announcement. So the no-code Power Apps with natural language was really exciting to hear about. The Microsoft Teams collaborative apps, the Power Apps developer plan, and also the Power BI streaming data flows and automatic aggregation was really cool to hear about. And the Power FX in the low-code language to use build to build Canvas apps was really exciting to hear about. And lastly, I'd say the ability to use Power Fix for commanding was really exciting and something to look into and catch up on.
Yeah, there was a lot of content there and a lot of new announcements. I'm pretty sure you're excited about that, as was Donna, because as soon as you said Power Apps, she jumped up. Why not, right? I mean, it is a fantastic platform.
Obviously, hello, let's go more Power. And also, I knew I liked you, Ritha. I knew it. I don't know why, but I do. You're going to get so much homework right about now, because I'm like, you like that, did you? Like, you and Fantip need to do a thing.
Right. So we have Cyril, who is in the SQL team. So is it right to assume that you liked all the data announcements that went out there, or do you have a different bits that you liked?
Well, of course, being on the SQL Docs team, I have to give a shout out to our team. We did some excellent work. SQL Ledger came out, and there's great documentation out about that. So I want to give a shout out to Van, but also to Mike, another great person on the team who was behind the scenes pulling all this content together. Being on a content team gives you a great perspective on the full circle of how people come to Microsoft and learn. But for me especially, I'm gonna put a tap in for Donna as well. The Power Apps, the activity around Power Apps was inspiring to me, so much so that I am sponsoring a small youth camp with several youth. We're getting some refurbished computers. We're going to be connecting virtually, and we're going to be building Power Apps over the summer. So any opportunity that I found that there was something like a free tier, I'm building some content around Power Apps to use with these young people so that they can be empowered to build things on their own. So I was excited to see that. It's kind of building into my plan. I'm getting computers together to be sent out to these young people, and we're going to do our own summer camp. So I appreciate Build because it inspired me to push forward with my plan.
Wow, inspiring developers. I love it. It's great. We have an Azure architect, so I'm curious to see what Gregor has to say about Build this year and what he found as the most exciting bit.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of notes written down, to be honest with you. But first of all, I wanted to say a big thank you to the people who put the Book of News together, because that's where you can go and find out all of the information to start off with. So a wee shout out to the people who put that together. Most exciting announcement is actually something that people from my work were working in a private preview. That was the Azure App Services on AKS with Azure Arc, the preview of that. So that's basically you can run logic apps, function apps, web apps, and things like that within AKS, within App Services. So it's in preview just now, but I think to me personally that was the most exciting announcement. But the other things I came across, GitHub Codespaces. I've been lucky enough to be on the beta of that, and it should be exciting for people to be able to use that. That's an amazingly cool feature. Another one is Hot Reload in .NET 6. Got a wee shot of that earlier on today. Jeff Fritz was showing you that when you could learn about Blazor, which was a really amazing session. What else have we got? We've got PowerShell Durable Functions. That's also very cool. And Durable Functions now also has SQL Server backend rather than just table storage. That's also cool. And probably last but not least, shout out to the Azure Communication Services, which has now got a UI library. So really looking forward to having a look at that as well.
Very nice. Yeah, that you covered quite a bit there. Excellent. What about you, Arpita? What was your favorite bit?
Okay. So first of all, this was the first build, so I was very excited about it, like how things go, how the sessions would be. And then I came across this one session which was my favorite, so I'm going to talk about it. It's tech that saves lives. It was more into RPA and using the cloud platforms of Microsoft. Like I love cloud, and I've been working on that. And then they told me how they're using Azure and Power Platform and Dynamics 365 and 365 to bring a better object for others so that people could collaborate, engage, and of course the portal could be secure. That was my favorite because yes, that's what I want people to do. Just use the tech for good, use the tech for the better thing there. Thank you.
Very nice. Make the
I'm
world a
with
better
you on
place.
that. I love that. I love that so much because, if we're not using our skills and our superpowers to make the lives of other people better, what are we even doing? Why are we even doing this? So I love that answer, Arpita, so much. I haven't even gotten to see that session, but I've now added it to my schedule thing. So thank you.
A giant backpack, as we call it, right? It has so many things there.
Mhm.
And last but not least, we have Sri. Sri, what did you find as the most exciting bit of build?
I am actually very excited about apps, and this time we had a lot of sessions which were talking about cloud native apps, and then I had student ambassadors talking about Microsoft Stack, where we could build cross hybrid and multi-cloud apps. It was really fun to actually get to know everything. And also I really love the fact that the underlying tone of this entire session was, with this technology we have to build a platform where everyone else can build their own tools. Like we're actually running towards a world where it's not going to be like just a tech sector, but as Satya said in his keynote, it's going to be tech intensity. So where everybody has to get updated with their tools and also create their own tools. So now that we have so many apps running, and we also have Microsoft giving us so many tools to create apps, and we had so many sessions where we had projects and on-code sessions where we could build apps on different solutions which we can bring up in the real world. So these sessions on cloud native hybrid apps, and also using the intelligent cloud native apps where the entire thing is revolving around data and AI. A lot of people think AI will rule out human work, but that doesn't happen because humans are creating AI. So then we are actually implementing data AI into apps. We're creating something revolutionary. We don't actually know what's going to come up in the store, but I think there's something really big happening. So that was really fun.
Awesome. Very, very nice.
Hey, Christos.
Yes.
I forgot something.
Go for it.
Okay, so I had to give a shout out Unplugged for Scott Hanselman and Friends developer keynote. It was so good. It was so clever. I actually saw Scott in person the day that they wrapped filming for it, and he just could not stop talking about it. So I did get a little bit of a sneak preview ahead of time, and I was like, this is going to be fantastic. And then seeing just people in there and interacting with him, which I don't think people realize, but the other folks that were in there, like Leslie and Isaac and Felicia, they're all on the teams that actually create these developer keynotes typically. So for example, Isaac's over in Azure Marketing, and so he helps put those together end to end. Leslie and Felicia are PMs under Visual Studio and .NET. And so these aren't just actors or things to be funny. These are the real people that work on these products. So the casual take, the sassiness, the kind of office vibes that it had, I thought it was hilarious. It was interesting to watch, learned a lot, but I hope that when we do move forward and hopefully have some of these things in person, but I also hope that we'll keep it hybrid because I do love allowing everybody to see the amazing stuff we're coming out with. That we will get more fun and we will be more creative. And I guess, of course, leave it to Scott Hanselman to open up a developer keynote with a TikTok video and then an office-like segment. So well done, Scott. Well done, friends. It was great.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say, but you stole my thunder, which is great. I mean, it was a fantastic keynote, and it's so out there. Like it's not a boring traditional somebody on stage talking about things. It's interacting with the PMs that write the products, and they made it fun and exciting and engaging. And we got to see so many friends from all these different teams, including marketing and engineering, and of course, Huntsman leading the way, which was brilliant. Back to you, Donna.
You know, I love the dev keynote. I knew nothing about it before. I knew they were up to some shenanigans, but there was so much just stuff that went on behind the scenes. Like, it was shot here on campus apparently, and then they crashed like this conference room and put in like black fabric on the walls to make it look like a movie theater. And then it was so wonderful to see our friend Abel Wang there.
Yes.
We were not expecting to see him this year because he's out right now for cancer treatment. So it was amazing to see Abel back talking about hot reload, his favorite thing. And I was like, is that Abel? And he like appeared like this ninja, right? It was so cool. That was my favorite part of all the build, was seeing Abel Wang on screen again, because it's like legitimately the only build where Abel would have demoed something really cool in like the most interesting way possible.
Yes.
So that was my favorite part of all of build by far.
And for the Microsoft people that are watching us, not to mention an honorary mention to Nelson.
Yes.
Nelson was there, and I love that. The fact that we brought him in, it was brilliant.
So backstory for people who don't know what that is, Nelson is, we have these standards of business compliant videos talking about security for the company and things you shouldn't do, like share your customers' data with other people without asking permission. Nelson was the guy in season 1 who did that. And we were like, you are so fired. Oh my God, you were fired. He's not a real person, he's like an actor. No. But we were like, Nelson, how are you not fired? How do you still have a job? Like, if we were as dumb as you, we'd be fired. But Nelson has redeemed himself over the last like 4 seasons. And now he's like a mentor and role model to other people to not do dumb things. And that's why Nelson called Scott to ask him about the security and privacy of his demos. And now Nelson is like the guy. He's like, don't be like me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Here's how to not be like me. Here's how to be a good ambassador for security and privacy. So it's this like whole inside joke now. So in the build, in the keynote, in the dev keynote, you'll see when they first walk in the room, on the wall, there's a standards of business conduct poster that they've handmade to celebrate the fact that it's kind of a teaser that Nelson's going to be crashing us later. So I thought that was pretty cute. I have a separate question for everybody, a FOMO question. Which session did you not get to see? And you're sorry you missed it and want to see if you can catch it on demand? I'll call on Gregor first.
Yep, so I wanted to go to the Jeff Fritz section where he was doing how to be a streamer.
Yep.
But unfortunately the link was broken and I don't think too many people got in. So it was recorded, which is good, so we'll get to see it. But I would really like to see Jeff's tips on how to become a live streamer. So that was the one I missed.
Yeah. He's like one of the best in the world at this. I don't know how he does it because I can't even read the chat and talk to you at the same time, much less like be funny, do something useful while reading a chat, answering questions and remembering what you're doing. I'm like, that's some focus skills and some good multitasking skills. So I've watched one of his sessions on how to do it. And he's like, and it's simple. And you do this and that and this thing. And I'm like, what was the first one? It's a skill, but you develop it by doing it a lot. So you should definitely check that session out. It'll be so good. Okay, Arpita, what was your FOMO thing, the thing you missed and you want to check out on demand or whenever?
Okay, this is not going to be good. I actually did not get to attend the Interfocus session because during the live, I was there in the virtual audience, and after that, I was sleeping because I did not match my time zone. And I feel so bad about it. Like, I've been hearing about it for some time now, and then I hear you all talk about how good it was, how good everything there was, and I'm like, oh, no. That
well, it's on legitimately in 30 minutes for 2 hours. So, yeah, so you can catch it like right after this. If you just hang out on Learn TV, it's on the whole thing from end to end, soup to nuts, like the backstage, this thing, there's a segment in there where Kevin Scott interviews a bunch of people. It's really good. I'm like, what? But he interviews this woman who does Adafruit IoT projects. That was so interesting. Her demo was so cool. You'll all want to go out and buy Raspberry Pis and like do this demo when you see it. It was really, really good. Okay. Laura, what was your FOMO session? Didn't get to see, but going to.
Yeah, you have spoiled it so much, but I was only able to see about 1/3 of the Into Focus session. So I saw it pretty much until Abel came, and I was so happy to see him again because he's a great friend, and it was so good to see him on screen. But then after that, and my wife actually called me for dinner, and dinner is a special time, and so I was not about to actually drag my laptop to the dinner table. And then after that, I just got busy and I couldn't watch it on demand yet. So I'm super excited to see it, and I'm just so very disappointed that I'm not going to be surprised by what's happening with Kevin Scott and with Nelson, because you already told me everything. So, but I'm very impatient to see it.
Yeah.
I'm impatient to see it on the screen anyway. So that's going to be good.
We can't justify in words how fun the whole thing was, like the entire end to end. And the whole story kind of went together, and there's a whole interview with Julia Louison. It was just it's really worth seeing. Like,
the thing that really cracked me up in the beginning was I think it was Leslie who was telling Scott that could have been an email, and this has been so many of our teams meeting, where that could have been an email, and the whole keynote as an email was really funny to me. So.
Exactly.
Or, you also had the part where, not too many spoilers, but Golnaz, who helps run our Channel 9 studios, who's amazing, by the way, shout out Golnaz. She's like in the back row of the theater, just suddenly pops up and has like one of those speaker things, that they use in movies. And Scott's demoing some piece of code, and she like yells at him like, Hanselman, because she wants him to make the font bigger so that she can see it. But I just think it was hilarious.
Yeah, this is really funny.
It was funny. Okay, Fantip, what was your FOMO thing you didn't get to see? Well, plan to.
Yeah, so I saw the developer keynote from the Scott Hanselman, but I didn't watch the Scott Guthrie Unplugged Home Edition. Yeah, that's one I will watch it later. Yep.
That was great. He talks about the entire dev stack. You know how each other technical segment was like deep dive into one thing, but he tells the whole story. I feel like that one was probably in the whole conference, out of the 2 days, the most sort of holistic, telling the entire Microsoft developer story, why we do certain things, how things work together, where to invest. And he talked about the biggest economic opportunity for developers on the planet, aka how to make the most money as a developer. So you should tune into that, because Scott's super smart.
If I may interject, there is also an amazing blog post that he wrote, which is out. I think it came out yesterday, probably, and it's a great companion to that session. So if anybody didn't see any session yet at Build and is interested in the cloud space and everything, I would start there, probably like reading the blog post and watching Scott's session. That's a great start.
So Cheryl, what was your FOMO session?
Well, definitely it sounds like the keynotes, the two Scotts. I was kind of working around being part of the audience and trying to do work as well. So I did miss those two. I'm also very interested in the subsystem for Linux. And I know that there was a release for that because they're going to have a graphic OS on the apps now. So I'm very, very interested in that. I've been working with that for a while. It's also part of my kind of give back plan to the youth group that I'm going to be working with this summer. So I definitely want to go and take a look at that and see if I can use it to help out the kids this summer.
Love it. That's awesome. So Arpita, what was your FOMO session?
The Into Focus one.
Oh yeah, sorry. I asked you already, and I'm like, you're like into focus because the middle of the night. Shri, what was yours?
I actually I'm having a FOMO moment right now when you all are talking about the Scott Hanselman note. I missed that. Now I'm going to go check that out.
I like how no one has actually watched this. I thought
actually we were all and actually I think I missed the app development with Scott and his friends. I know everybody's talking about it, but I somehow missed it. Actually, there's so much going on. There's a technical session, there's a connection zone, there's student zone, and there's so many resources happening in the student zone. So there's a clash of time, but I'm definitely going to go check it out. And also, there was one more video, one more session where they were talking about Azure Arc, where they could build cloud native apps anywhere and run them anywhere. That was really cool. I missed it because of the time zone, but I'm definitely going to watch the on demand.
That is awesome. I love how all of us kind of missed that. That's really funny because I assumed all of you have seen it because you're in the student audience, but what a weird assumption that is.
I think this is a different session. I don't watch the in focus part, but there was one more session where I was where I was like, I saw one more session where it was like app development with Scott and his friends.
That's right.
I don't know which one was the session, but I'm like really excited to watch it. And I know how Scott actually talks. He's so lively, and when he was in part of the in focus, he had this beyond CSS.
Yes.
And maybe we should take a moment to like notice that.
To appreciate the Beyond CSS shirt. Yeah, I know. That was pretty funny. I like that other guy he was interviewing in Into Focus. He works at GitHub and he's like, I too am a Beyonce fan. I'm like, I love this conversation right now. This is great. So Rita, what was your FOMO moment?
Yeah, I had a few. The first one would be the Imagine Cup. I didn't get a chance to watch that this year, so I definitely want to go back and watch that. The other thing is the Ask the Experts for building scalable startups with Microsoft Azure and Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
And of course the keynotes and the talks about Visual Studio.
Definitely. That Magic Cup was great. The Magic Cup finals were really good. Those teams, those final four were incredible. And that would have been like, thank God I'm not judging this. I'd be like 4-way tie. You know, it would have ended badly. But I love the winning team. I thought I was so happy to see them. And I already threatened them. I'm like, I'm going to come find you in the world and help you with your project because your project is incredibly important. So I love the Imagine Cup winners this year. I think they were the best we've ever had, like in 20 years. I seriously do believe that. They were really, really good this year.
Yeah,
so Chris,
Donna, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, if anybody did miss the Imagine Cup and the finals, they have to go watch it. I mean, these students are so inspiring. The things that they build have real life applications, and they do go out there and they do make a change. And so many of them too are for their communities and problems that they have within them, which are also a lot of global issues. And the 4 finalists were from all over the world. They had different topics in all of their projects. I agree. The projects were just absolutely fantastic. And fun fact, this next year for Imagine Cup is our 20th anniversary. So it's going to be big and it's going to be awesome.
Ooh, okay. So actually I have a favor. All of you who either are students or no students, please go tell your friends to apply and enter the Imagine Cup because it is such a good way to, there's a few things, right? Everyone's focused on the end result, which is I want mentorship with Satya. I want to make this money and I want to win this Imagine Cup, which is a very, very cool set of prizes. That's great. But the process by which you get there is an amazing resume builder. And I don't think people understand how much, it doesn't matter where you live. If you form a team with people and tackle a real, actual social issue and learn a bunch of tech to solve it, like the best way to learn tech is to have a real problem that matters to you, right? This is a resume builder. You should like, put all of the skill sets you learned, you should put all this teamwork, and you should actually put like the final project demo somewhere, right? Whether it's on YouTube or GitHub or whatever. You should document that because I have gone to many countries to hire people, and if they have entered the Imagine Cup, even if they weren't a finalist, a semi-finalist, whatever, if they've got a project they can show me, I am much more motivated to believe that they're going to do really well at Microsoft because this is exactly how we work. We're like, here's a real problem. Here's a bunch of people. Let's get together, learn everything we need, solve it. So enormously good resume builder, such a good resume builder, really stands out from like everybody else in the world. So really do encourage your student friends to apply because even just entering and having something to show is pretty powerful. I think Morgan will agree because she talks to way more students than I do.
I 100% agree. And I get asked all the time, if I want a job at Microsoft or if I want to work in tech, what languages should I learn? What courses should I take? What certification should I get? And I say, that's all great. And you should absolutely do that. But it's building that portfolio, showing not just like, oh, hey, look, I can code, but these are the things I've built, and actually having those real world examples and being able to demo a project that you worked on. I mean, that's what you'll be doing in the real world anyway, especially as an industry professional. And so I do think it's a great way to highlight that. It's a great way to meet new people. And another thing, Donna, that I get asked a lot, especially at hackathons and everything, they're like, I want to talk to, an engineer at Microsoft. I want to meet people. I want that mentorship. And that's another big part of the Imagine Cup, is that as students actually progress along and in the process, they're getting mentored by Microsoft engineers and Microsoft cloud advocates. And I'm not just saying like, here's a piece of feedback via email. They are live sessions. They are giving feedback. There's tons of like rehearsals and presentation skills and everything you gain. And so I'd also encourage that anybody that's looking to expand your network and your presentation skills and expand your portfolio, so that when you do go look for that job or for that internship, you're able to say, hey, look, here's the thing I did. It's concrete. And most people know the name Microsoft, I would have to say. So it's a pretty well-known one that people can really get behind and get excited about.
Exactly. There's so many ways to get your dream job, right? So many ways. Like all of us, I would love to have a Learn TV session on how did you get to the position you're in now? Like literally, don't just tell me, oh, I got a computer science degree and I arrived. There's so many other things that went into it, like the hustling, the relationship building, the doing this project, doing favors for people, working for free. I don't mean at a company, but like as a side hustle, while doing your day job because you want to be on this team. Like Morgan the other day shared very interesting insight where in her previous job, she was not going to build because she wasn't seen as essential. Now she like legitly runs the student zone at Build 2 years later. I love that story, Morgan. I feel like we should have one of these career journey, ask the experts things, because there's so many people want to know, not just students, just people who want to tech switch careers, switch jobs, get a different job, get a better job. There's so many different ways to do it. So
yeah.
many.
I 100% agree. And we were actually saying that as we were opening the student zone this year is, a student doesn't just have to be somebody who's enrolled in a university and a college. You don't have to be in high school or secondary school. People that are learning to code on their own, people that are in a boot camp, maybe you're 25 years into your career and you're looking for that change. You are absolutely a student, and we want to be able to help you too. And I think that there is that common misconception, especially amongst younger students, that all right, there is one straight path if I want to be a developer or if I want to work at a company like Microsoft. I get good grades in high school, I go to a good school with CS, I do some internships, and voila, I've made it and my life goals are complete. And we talked a little bit about this on the panel that we had. And Donna, I know during the Student Ambassador Summit, you had some great insights in the talk that you did. And I shared myself just in the student zone the other day. I don't have a computer science degree. I went to a Polytechnic Institute where I did mechanical engineering and management engineering, and then I did a master's in management, so business. But I don't actually have that CS background, but I've always been passionate about technology. I love working with people and seeing the high level on projects. And so that's actually how I got hired out of university, is they're like, you could make a good PM. And so I think having those other skill sets and being able to show how you are unique and you can contribute is really important. Do I have imposter syndrome? Oh yeah, but I think everybody does in some way, shape, or form. So I constantly have to remind myself that you are here, you are valuable, you bring unique skills that other people may not have. And that's the beauty of having diverse teams. And so I am with you, Donna. We should absolutely do a session about journeys into tech. And then also once you're in tech, I think that's the other common misconception is you can totally move around. I'm just about to hit my 4th year here at Microsoft. I was a technical PM coming in. I was working under dev tools and on an internal tool. I think you were referencing my tweet from the other day. And I really wanted to go to build. And they're like, oh, well, we're not presenting anything because we're internal tools. So we'd have to buy you a ticket and that's not going to happen. And I was just crushed. It's like, but I want to learn and I want to network and I want to meet people. And so as I've moved along my career, I've gotten closer and closer to the things I want to do on a day-to-day basis. And now I just got to help run the Student Zone and host it. And dreams do come true, Donna, but you're right. It's about the hustle. It's about the networking and the people you know. And I think following really what you're passionate about and not what other people think you should do or what you feel like you have to do.
Totally true. Now that we've totally derailed Christos' session with the career talk.
Sorry, Christos.
Sorry, Christos. I'm going to hand back to you because you have actual questions about Build.
Well, I think it's totally valid. It's totally valid. And the fact that we have such a diverse audience when it comes to Build, and the fact that we empower everyone to be a developer, it's a fantastic thing. We have so many free things for developers out there. If you're starting your career journey, we have free Azure services, free developer tools, free learning experiences for everyone. So everybody can be a student. I'm an eternal student. I will never stop learning because it's so exciting to learn new things. And by the way, some of the most gifted and amazing developers I've met have never actually studied CS. They picked up the skill as they went. My colleague and my partner in crime, JP, he has a music degree. But this guy is a genius, right? So obviously, we have to say that everybody can be a developer if they want to. And there's so many resources. Reach out to us if you want any help. Now, we did derail the conversation a little bit, but we're going to come back to our fantastic audience. So the question I have for you is, would you, once the things go back into some normality, I hope eventually we'll get some normality back with this whole pandemic, but assuming that things go back into some normality, are you going to travel next year? Are you going to go into conferences? Are you going to meet friends that you actually made through this process? And what are your plans for the next year? Let's start with Sarah.
Oh, I would love to have the opportunity to attend a conference. I personally have been a conference speaker locally here in the Bay Area for a nonprofit organization that works with underrepresented groups and minorities. And so I really enjoyed the breakout sessions talking about different technologies. I think it's so important to show people these advantages. I think there's still a lot of misconceptions about what technology is, how difficult it is to get in. And I think when people hear the real stories from people who are doing the work, as Donna talked about the hustle, I think those are the connections that you make, that hallway chat that they talk about, where you interact with people, who got the t-shirt, who didn't get the t-shirt. I definitely look forward to going back and getting that energy back in person.
Awesome. Yes. If you get the opportunity to do some talking, you don't have to be an expert. As long as you're passionate about something, then go out there and help people build stuff. I know Laurent has done a ton of public speaking, and he's an expert in that. Laurent, tell us your plans for next year, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I was traveling. I was actually in the middle of Ignite the Tour, which took us to, it was supposed to take us to 14 different cities, and it was cut short by the pandemic last year. And then we converted everything to online. I love to speak online. It's also something that I've been doing even before when I was able to travel. But for me, there is no replacement for an in-person conference, and especially all the amazing networking. I was an MVP for 11 years before I joined Microsoft, and this feeling of community and meeting people and actually going all around the world and having, I joked about that because when I started traveling, I was always eating alone at restaurants. And then when I started being more active in the communities, then I had dinner plans every night. And this is really what I meet, like going from Asia to Africa to the Americas and meeting the people. So definitely, as soon as we can, I want to be back. But I think we'll have a huge opportunity to also rethink the way that conferences are working and to go for a hybrid model, because we also have to understand that having online content, live online content is also very inclusive, right, for everybody who actually cannot travel. So we are very privileged, obviously, to be able to take a plane and go, but we also need to think of everybody who cannot do that. And I think this is going to be a very interesting challenge for us in the developer advocacy and the developer relations at Microsoft for the next few years. I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. What about you, Ritha?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I am looking forward to, present as much as I can in any conferences, upcoming conferences in the upcoming year ahead. So if you all, have any conferences, please send them my way. I want to sign up, and I want to work on signing up and meeting new people as well, and developers around the world. I had the chance, during Build, virtually this year, but also, of course, it's a huge miss out of like not really meeting people in person, but I had that opportunity being live in the audience. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see you in some event near us soon. And
Yes.
if people are looking for a speaker, then they can reach out to you. You have your Twitter handle over there. What about you, Gregor? What are your plans for next year?
Well, I've just been in a job for 6 months and actually not met anyone from my company. So first of all, I'm looking forward to meeting my new colleagues in person. So I'll be traveling to the Netherlands, which would be nice. The last few years before COVID, managed to travel to Experts Live EU, which was fabulous, and also Ignite 2019 in Florida. So they're definitely going to be in my radar going forward. So Ignite and Build and probably Experts Live going forward. Met a lot of people during the sessions during Build, so really like to meet these people in person, and a lot of the people who I talked to on Twitter. It'd be really nice to meet them in person and kind of go for something to eat and spend some time with them. Yeah.
Virtual friends become real friends. I've met Laurent like that, so it is a great opportunity to do this. What about you, Partip?
Yeah, for the next year, if I have a chance to just join the in-person developer conference, I will, yeah. And I just attend 2 developer conference in person. That is the Build in 2018 and Ignite the Tour in Sydney, Australia. So that's what awesome to just learn new technology and connect with a diverse group of the student developer, and to just great speaker to just hear it on the stage. Yeah.
One of the best ways to advance your career is to network, make friends, work on exciting projects, connect with other people. They lead to a lot of opportunities. So if you are up for it, and if you're somebody that likes to make new friends, then the tech community is a fantastic place to be. How about you, Arpita? What are your plans for next year?
For next year, okay. I actually met a lot of people who work in bringing tech and society together, and I'm so interested in meeting them because I have a thing for that, and that's the kind of development I love. And I can't even tell you how much I'm excited because I'd start jumping here. I just want to meet them, learn more about tech and how we can use things together. And I just want to be there for anyone who wants any kind of help in that. That's my plan for the coming year.
Fantastic. Helping the community get better. I love it. I would like to thank everyone for coming today. Thank you, Donna. Thanks all our guests from all around the world. I know it's late for some of you from wherever you are. Really appreciate your time. We learned so many things from you, and hopefully we'll take this feedback and build a better build next year. Next, there's going to be a 2-hour segment for the what's the name again?
Focus.
Into focus. Sorry. Focus. I need more coffee. I need more coffee to focus. Exactly. It will be 2 hours into focus, and then there's going to be some fantastic sessions on Learn TV, including Hello World, with so many guests again. So thanks everyone for coming. We had a fantastic time. We look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully somewhere near us, or Build next year.
Yes. Happy Build next year, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Howdy doodle, Scott Guthrie, Kevin Scott, Scott Hanselman. It's time for the Great Scott Show.
Sets, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's because we got a bunch of Scots. I thought I would try to...
That is true, but no, it's called Into Focus. Yeah, we have all the Scots, but we have so much more, like demos, a round table, and questions from our great audience.
That sounds a little bit more correct, and it's in front of a live virtual audience. It's Into Focus at Microsoft Build. everyone. I'm Sid Juarez, Principal Cloud Advocate for all things AI.
And I'm Felicia Shah, Program Manager for Visual Studio LiveShare, and this is Into Focus, the show within a show at Microsoft Build.
It's like showception. And we're definitely not on the same set I was just on wearing the same clothes I've been in all day. It's not, it's just different.
No, it's not. It's we're going to ignore that, you know. But for the next 2 hours, we'll be taking over your screens along with our very special co-host, the one and only partner program manager and the world's okayest programmer, Scott Hanselman.
Woo! Hey, fantastic. Lower your expectations, everybody. I appreciate that. When did I get the award of world's okayest programmer? I gave it to myself. Forgot about that.
You tend to do that, but you know it's okay. The honor is all yours, and it's great to have you, Scott.
It's great to be here. And in fact, I'm so excited to be with all of you, our audience members. We've got 40 members of our Microsoft community from around the world.
Wow.
South Africa, Nigeria, Thailand, just to name a few, all joining us via Teams. Hey, everybody. Woo! Woo!
I feel like I'm at an NBA game because I'm such a sports specimen, I think, a sports ball
You are a
guy.
specimen.
So here's what's coming up. Microsoft EVP Scott Guthrie gets unplugged at home. Then Scott Hanselman, you're up.
I am, in fact, and meeting up with my team in Redmond was quite the hero's journey. Luckily, there was a film crew there to document it all. I'll also be doing a live demo with Julie Strauss. It'll expand on what she showed during Amanda Silver's Day One executive talk. Plus, we'll hear from other superstars like VP Julia Lewson, Rajesh Jha, Kevin Scott, and GitHub's Brian Douglas.
This is amazing. Then we'll cap things off with a roundtable on the future of open source.
Well, now it's time for Scott Guthrie Unplugged and at Home. This is Into Focus at Microsoft Build.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Build 2021. Build is all about developers, and we're incredibly excited to talk to you this week about some of the work that we're doing that enables developers to build even better apps and solutions and deliver even more impact to the world. This past year has been a year really unlike any other, and developers have been absolutely critical to helping businesses, governments, and people everywhere respond and adapt to the challenges of the pandemic. And as we work to reimagine our future, developers have never been more important to the world. Microsoft was founded 46 years ago as a developer tools company. At the time, our first and only product was Microsoft Basic. And developers and the platforms and tools they use have been core to Microsoft's DNA ever since. And today we have the richest developer tools in the world with Visual Studio, GitHub, and .NET. And with the Microsoft Cloud, we have an incredibly rich platform that developers can use to build apps and solutions that can reach any person on the planet. And we want to empower all of you to build what comes next. No other company has the breadth and depth of the solutions that we deliver at Microsoft, and the Microsoft Cloud obviously is critical to enabling that. What makes the Microsoft Cloud particularly rich is just the rich set of services it delivers. With Microsoft Azure, we provide the underlying cloud infrastructure and cloud platform that you need. And then on top of it, we have rich SaaS-based capabilities with Microsoft 365 and with Dynamics 365 that allow you to connect to employees and reinvent business processes all in a SaaS-based way. And with our Power Platform, we provide the glue that allows you to stitch all of these solutions together to accelerate digital transformation. With GitHub and Visual Studio, we have the world's richest developer tools and services. And with our built-in security capabilities, you can go ahead and protect all these solutions and manage them with a common identity control plane that enables you to kind of securely run any workload anywhere. No other cloud vendor offers this fully comprehensive developer experience and overall platform capabilities. Over 95% of the largest 500 companies in the world today are now building amazing applications using this Microsoft Cloud. And throughout Build this week, many of our customers across every industry are going to share about how they're using the Microsoft Cloud to help themselves digitally transform and reimagine how they engage with their employees and customers. A great example of an amazing organization that's driving a really transformational cloud strategy and becoming an even deeper digital technology company is UBS, which is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. 3 years ago, UBS announced a plan to make the firm more agile by leveraging the cloud. to build new client experiences and be able to support their clients using leading edge digital solutions. And today now more than 50% of their computing power is being hosted in the cloud. And UBS is driving really this transformation of becoming more agile, delivering better and better solutions using data and AI to really strengthen their business and transform the value that they can provide to their clients. And we're incredibly pleased to be a partner that's been key to enabling that experience. Now, in this talk, I'm going to go ahead and highlight a couple of the great innovations that we're delivering this week at Build and have some amazing talks that you can go ahead and watch that go deeper about each of them. And I'm going to give you kind of a slice of just some of the great sessions that you can check out as part of this conference. Let's start by talking about some of the latest innovations we're delivering with our developer tools and cloud. As I mentioned earlier, Microsoft has the most comprehensive tools and platforms for developers to use, as well as the teams they're on to leverage, to code, collaborate, and ship solutions from anywhere. Our tools have integrated collaboration capabilities so that you can work across a team, so that you can have your entire team collaborate securely together. And you can use your favorite languages, open source frameworks, to make sure that you can leverage the full ecosystem that's out there, regardless of your platform or choice. And you can build, test, and deploy all of your code to the cloud using the great set of GitHub capabilities and Visual Studio capabilities that we provide. We just released a new version of Visual Studio 2019 that we call the 16.10 release. This includes a bunch of great productivity enhancements for .NET and C++ developers, enhanced Git tooling support, as well as improved container and Azure tooling features, including support for our new Azure API management, all built into the IDE. We also announced the new version of Visual Studio, with what we're calling Visual Studio 2022. This is going to be the first 64-bit native version of Visual Studio, which will bring a lot of great performance and scalability improvements to developers working on large, complex projects. .NET 6 marks the completion of our journey to really unify the .NET ecosystem, and .NET 6 Preview 4 is now available, which unifies the .NET platform while also introducing new innovations like C#10, .NET MAUI, and Blazor that enable you to build cross-platform native mobile and desktop apps for Android, macOS, iOS, and Windows, all using a single code base. And definitely want to encourage you to check out some of the great sessions and upgrade to these latest editions because they really provide a tremendous amount of new capabilities and power. And what's great is that Visual Studio and .NET are the perfect complements to this larger developer set of capabilities. And combined, Visual Studio, GitHub, and Azure in particular enable developers to focus on building apps and not have to worry about all of the infrastructure that's required in order to run them. With Visual Studio, GitHub, and Azure, you get a seamless experience that enables you to focus on your code and deploy and get it to the cloud using your favorite languages and platforms of your choice so that you can, again, code, collaborate, and deploy applications securely across the team anywhere you want. Now, I talked about a bunch of great improvements and enhancements that we're releasing at Build this week. And there's a phenomenal talk by Amanda Silver, Donovan Brown, and Julie Strauss. And definitely encourage you to watch that session to learn more about our latest innovation for developer tools and cloud and go a lot deeper on all the great technology I just walked through. So that was a little bit about developer tools and cloud. Let's actually now switch gears and talk about building cloud native applications. Now, one of the things that's great about Azure is the power of all the built-in developer capabilities that we deliver as a service on it. And we literally have hundreds now of services on Azure that you can take advantage of as a developer to build great applications. And some of these, I know a lot of people that are watching things like web apps and serverless functions and logic apps, you're very familiar with, and they're used now by literally millions of developers around the world today. Yesterday, we announced a preview of some great new set of Azure capabilities, which are going to now allow you to take these same services that you've used inside Azure and build applications that can now use them and run anywhere across, whether it's on Azure, across, say, an on-premises environment, including bare metal as well as VMware deployments, as well as even other clouds like AWS and GCP. In fact, any Kubernetes cluster around the world, again, running in any environment, can now be connected through what we call Azure Arc, and you can now take advantage of these services on top of that cluster as well. What this means is that you can now innovate faster by using our built-in Azure application services, and again, have this beautiful model where you can focus on your code and not have to worry about the underlying infrastructure that it's running on top of. And this means you don't have to kind of trade off productivity for portability. You can now run it everywhere. It also means that you now have a higher level set of capabilities that you could run on top of Kubernetes. So you get some of the flexibility that Kubernetes provides, as well as the portability that it provides, but an even richer set of capabilities that enable you as a developer to build applications faster. And then this also gives you a great way as a developer to work with teams on the operations side to be able to run and monitor the applications in a multi-cloud approach. And again, the power of all of this is through something we call Azure Arc, which is a key element of our multi-cloud hybrid strategy. And what Azure Arc provides all up is this notion that you can go ahead and do cloud operations anywhere for your cloud applications. And I talked on the previous slide about how you can use all of our application services. Azure Arc also allows you to manage infrastructure. And in previous developer conferences, we've also announced and now support the ability to run, for example, our database services as well on top of Arc. And the combination of all of this gives you just tremendous flexibility to, again, build solutions that have ultimate portability and can be used everywhere. And with Azure Arc, you have a single pane of glass for management and operations and monitoring. You can apply Azure policy and governance controls as part of it. And Azure Arc works with any CNCF conformant Kubernetes cluster, which again makes it possible to use Azure application services, data services, and infrastructure services literally anywhere to accelerate your innovation faster. Gabe Monroy has a great talk here at Build this week called Build Cloud Native Applications That Run Anywhere, which is a great session where you can learn more about all of these announcements and really start taking advantage of it today. Now, I talked about cloud native apps and our developer tools. Obviously, one of the key ingredients of all of those apps is the data that they store and the AI that works against it. And with Microsoft Azure and our overall cloud platform, we now provide an incredibly rich set of services and capabilities that enable you to do this. And this week, we're going to talk about some of our great latest innovations. One of the services that's been very differentiated for Azure over the last couple of years that developers really love is our Azure Cosmos DB database. Azure Cosmos DB is our fast, ultra-low latency NoSQL database. It's designed for single millisecond response time. It supports a wide variety of different developer APIs, including popular ones like Cassandra and MongoDB and Gremlin Graph and others. And it enables you to build petabyte scale applications that can even run across multiple simultaneous Azure regions in an active, or more configuration. And we have customers today that are literally scaling to trillions of transactions per day against a single database to support customers all over the globe. In particular, we announced the general availability of our Cosmos DB serverless support. With serverless, developers no longer need to kind of provision a database that you're always billed for, regardless of how it's used. Instead, with serverless capabilities, you only pay us based on the actual database operations that you perform. And so there's no minimum charge or capacity planning required. Instead, you basically just pay for the request against your database service, which provides tremendous flexibility, obviously, in your pricing and also how you can scale your application. We also this week introduced our new integrated cache support for Cosmos DB. which can boost performance by up to 300% on your workload and reduce your cost by up to 96% for heavy read workloads inside your application. We also announced some new enterprise-grade security capabilities, much richer role-based access control support, as well as something we call always encrypted, which is particularly important in this ultra-secure world that we now live in. And we've made some really great free tier enhancements. And that's been something a lot of people have often asked for in the past, which is, hey, I love Cosmos DB, but can you help me get started with it without having to pay a lot of money? And the great thing with Cosmos DB now is you get a free 25 gigabyte database that can do 1,000 requests per second with no cost ever. And you can use that to start building applications faster and easier than ever before. For Azure AI, we're also making some great announcements this week that enable developers to build AI applications even faster. Lots of great new improvements with our Azure Applied AI services. These are kind of pre-built AI models that you can leverage. So if you want to do document processing or customer service or extract content from a document, all those capabilities are built in for you as a developer to call as an API. Great improvements to PyTorch, including PyTorch Enterprise support, which enables even more capabilities for custom AI models that you want to build. And with our Azure Arc enabled support, like you saw with our application services earlier, you can now use our Azure ML services everywhere, including in on-premises environments or even on other clouds. And then lastly, we got some great improvements with our bot support, with our Azure Bot service that enable you to build even more interactive and better services that you can deliver to end users. Definitely recommend Rohan Kumar's great talk, which is called Deliver New Intelligent Cloud Native Applications by an AI session that we're having this week, where you can learn more about all these great enhancements and more. Now, a lot of what I've covered so far is, from a core platform perspective and in the Azure bucket of the Microsoft Cloud. Now, one of the things that we've also seen this past year has been obviously as people have pivoted to work more from home or in a hybrid way, the need to collaborate in a remote fashion across organizations and across teams. And one of the key applications that's been essential for kind of connecting all these employees and all these people around the world has been Microsoft Teams. And there's now more than 145 million daily active people that use Microsoft Teams in a pretty essential way to run their businesses. And part of what it makes Teams powerful is not just that you can do video conferencing or text chats, but you can also integrate applications as part of that overall experience and leverage the Microsoft Cloud as really a collaborative application development experience that you can integrate your business processes and your applications within. And with the Microsoft Power Apps offering that we have, professional developers can also now accelerate delivering workflows and the delivery of business applications to all 145 million of these users. And we see increasingly the need for you to be able to kind of build these types of business applications and asynchronous collaboration scenarios faster. And part of what we're trying to do with the Microsoft Cloud All Up is enable professional developers to work with, say, business analysts inside an enterprise, as well as people building simple automation workflows or front-end experiences, and combine all of this into solutions that can be deployed quickly and leveraging all the collaboration capabilities that are built in as part of the Microsoft Cloud. And we now have a really great development workflow that enables that. And just to kind of illustrate how easy it is for you to build these types of solutions, I'd like to kind of walk through one great example, which is Toyota North America. Toyota wanted to build solutions that enable their thousands of employees around the world to do quality check deliveries in the aftermarket accessory business within the vehicles that they sell. And they wanted to be able to do it using Power Apps and the power of Teams and be able to leverage an Azure-based backend. And this solution is now being used by all Toyota dealerships as part of the vehicle delivery and accessory business. Let's see how they built it. So the great thing is they were able to go into Visual Studio and just say file new project and create a web API using the standard .NET web API support that the developers were already familiar with. They could create APIs, they could call Cosmos DB or SQL or other data services. And then when they're ready, they could either right click and publish that API into Azure or set up a GitHub action and do it automatically using a CI/CD process. Now, once they published that API, and they used Azure API Management in order to publish it into a catalog, the beauty is all of the business analysts inside Toyota, as well as other developers, could basically consume it using Power Apps and inside Teams, and all in a very secure, easy way. And so, for example, here inside Power Apps, you'll notice that that Toyota API that we just built in .NET now surfaces on the toolbox. And that developer is now able to go ahead and very easily data bind UI elements inside a Power App. They can go ahead and call those APIs inside the cloud. And you can see here, this is a nice sort of Excel-like macro language. So this can even be used by, say, a business analyst that maybe is not a professional developer in order to call that API that was built by a professional developer in a very easy, seamless way. And then once an application is built, they can just go ahead and right-click and publish it into Microsoft Teams. It's just a single click, and now it can be deployed to anyone inside a dealership or across the Toyota organization. This is an example of that application now running inside Microsoft Teams on a Windows desktop. But the beauty is it also works on any device that Teams is on. So for example, if I'm on my phone, I can just pull up the app drawer to find the app, and then I can go ahead and activate it. And so this is a great way I can literally roll out applications across any tablet, phone, or desktop device on any operating system, and now connect end users directly to that API that's running on Azure, again, all through the power of Power Apps. And this is sort of a great example of how you can start to build really interactive, very fast development workflows that really enable you to deliver amazing value in a digital transformation kind of way to an entire organization using Teams. This week at Build, we're also announcing a whole bunch of new capabilities for professional developers to also target teams using procedural code as well. And you can do that through our SDKs. And we now have great SDKs built into Visual Studio and some really great tooling support that we're delivering. We also now have developer API support for the Power Platform. So you can use C# or your other languages in order to code against the Power Platform as well. And a bunch of great capabilities around collaboration and being able to set up meetings and do voice through our Azure communication services and Teams, all built into your applications that you code. Jeff Teeper has a great talk that you can also watch this week to learn more about all these innovations and how they come together to enable you to use the Microsoft Cloud and our development tools to build amazing applications and solutions. Now, the last thing I thought I'd talk about is around how you can build applications inside Azure, not just for, say, employees inside your organization or for customers that are end users, but also package them up into business applications or SaaS-based delivered solutions that you can then sell both to end users as well as to other businesses and deliver in a SaaS-based way. And part of what makes the Microsoft Cloud powerful, as I talked about earlier, is the rich set of capabilities that we deliver, not just with Azure, but with things like Office 365 and Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. And what's great is as a developer, you don't always have to start with, say, a blank Kubernetes cluster or a blank VM. You can actually start by taking advantage of some of these built-in developer components, like I talked about just a moment ago with Teams and with the Power App platform, when you're building your solutions in your applications. And this allows you, for example, if you want a full customer service solution, to start with Dynamics 365 and then build custom UI or custom workflows around it, and be able to leverage an incredibly rich set of CRM capabilities that we provide that you can then adapt as part of your SaaS-based solution. And definitely encourage developers, if you haven't already looked at all these components, to start looking at some of these bigger components and some of these bigger building blocks that you can leverage. Because they're just like you can leverage APIs and libraries in the past, this allows you to do even more and deliver even more value to your customers. And we not only provide kind of horizontal support like CRM, but we're also providing richer and richer industry support. And so this allows us to deliver features that have even kind of more sophisticated capabilities and components tailored for a specific industry. And we now have 5 industry clouds with built-in vertical industry components that you can leverage as part of your solutions. Make sure to check out Charles Lamanna's great talk on build differentiated SaaS apps with the Microsoft Cloud, which is a session this week that goes much deeper into how you can leverage all of this and again, build amazing applications as part of your solutions. So we've covered a lot of territory in this presentation, and hopefully you see just sort of the richness of some of the great new capabilities that we're releasing this week and how you can use them to build amazing solutions. And as I talked about, there's some great sessions you can watch to go even deeper and learn more. No other cloud provides the depth and breadth of what Microsoft provides. And between this cloud and our developer tools, you can really build some just phenomenal solutions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you build with it. Coming up next, don't miss Scott Hanselman's developer session and the rest of our day 2 Microsoft Into Focus sessions. And I hope you have a great build and a great rest of the week. Thanks so much.
Oh. Ugh. Another Teams meeting. Dude, then don't. Go to Seattle. I can do that? Yeah. You're the world's okayest programmer. Yeah.
Hi, whenever you're ready.
4C with cheese, please.
All right, first window.
Thank you.
Second dose?
Yep.
All right, last name.
Hanselman.
And then relax your arm. 1, 2, 3.
That was it?
Oh, that was it.
Magical.
All right.
Thank you.
I really wanted it to be in a theater.
Yeah. Hey, friends. Hey, Scott.
Hey,
Hi.
Scott.
How's it going?
Took you long enough.
Thank you, Leslie. I was going to say, it's so nice to see your partially obscured faces. I am fully vaccinated, as I know you all are. Huh? Doesn't that feel great?
Yeah. This better be good. I had to put on something other than sweatpants for this, so.
Yes, it is a year without pants. I do appreciate that. We rented the space last year, and if we didn't use it, I still have to pay for it. So that's why we're here. No, we're here because of energy. Leslie, I cannot do another Teams call. I cannot do another whole conference on a Teams call. It's stressing me out. I love Teams, but seriously.
Scott, I am excited to be here. It's awesome that we're doing this, but this honestly could have been an email.
Technically, you're right. But still, we're here, and I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Scott, quick question, though. Why are they here?
Oh, he hangs out with me everywhere I go. Behind the scenes. It was part of the package deal. When you get the theater, you get like people to follow you around. I want the energy. I need to document all this stuff because nobody here takes notes.
Okay, cool.
Can we do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Come on. It's review time.
Okay.
Build. Let's do
All
it.
right.
All right. Downstairs. Could you care?
Do people need to be enthusiastic as they walk
You should
down?
at least try to care.
Okay.
It is your job.
All right.
All right. Got a whiteboard. Good energy. A lot of positivity in the room here, people. What?
There's like a very fancy surface that you could be using instead of the whiteboard that's
Is that
in front
even
of it.
plugged in? Oh, cool. All right.
As long as we talk about Visual Studio.
Well, I mean, we have to talk about Windows, too. Like, the stuff we've been doing in Windows is awesome.
But there's also WSL. Talk about some Linux action and Visual Studio.
Which runs on Windows.
That's true.
Focus. I want to figure out what we're going to talk about at Build here.
I think we should be talking about Windows. I think the last 2 years have been awesome for Windows, and telling that story is super, super great.
So Visual Studio is really cool, especially Visual Studio 2022. That's coming out. That's great. And we got WSL that we can play around with.
Okay,
GitHub
WSL.
Productivity. Who doesn't love productivity?
Okay.
Right?
Megan
On
is in the
that.
slides making him awesome. I like that. Thank you for that.
We should talk about the faster inner loop with GitHub code spaces.
Inner
That's
loop, okay.
hot.
So inner loop Inner loop means like you write some code and you see the change, and you write some code and you see the change, and it happens really fast, right?
I mean, .NET's good. We should talk about .NET, right?
Hey, but did you get the inner loop with code spaces?
Okay, code space. I'm getting overwhelmed now. There's a lot.
Oh,
here.
don't forget
Hang
about
on.
hot reload. Hot reload.
Talk about Python, Node.
Megan, are you following any of this?
Oh, have you heard of Playwright? You should be using Playwright.
Maybe this was a bad idea. Oh, thank you. Hopefully, Megan will be able to turn this into something somewhat
magic.
Very nice, Megan.
Good job,
Appreciate
Megan.
that.
Wow.
Nicely done.
Nice.
All right, cool.
Killing it.
I'm going to just draw everything and let her do all the work. All right, sweet. Cool. So to recap, I heard us say we can build anything with Windows. That's going to be cool. We'll show WSL as well. Productive inner loop. That was good. We use Visual Studio. We use GitHub. Dig it. I like it. And then, of course, any language, any developer, any platform, code and language of your choice. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I've actually got an idea that could cover a couple of these. So I could just show my idea demo real quick?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right, rock on. All right, so we all know that Windows is the best box for developers, and you can run Linux on Windows now, which is really cool. So it's also the best box for any developer, for anyone doing anything. So I'm going to take this machine, which theoretically has nothing set up on it already, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'll go down here to the Start menu, and I'm going to type CMD, and I will pop up the command line here. In Windows, you can set the Windows terminal as
Hey,
the...
Hanselman! Can't see your screen.
Why are you here? All right, is that better?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go into the Start menu. See, I got PowerShell, I got the command prompt, I've got Windows PowerShell. And what I can actually do is I can do a hotkey here, and I'm going to open up PowerShell in a separate tab, and I'll go ahead and maximize this. Now take a look at the prompt, right? You see how the prompt is all kind of blinged out? I'm using this thing called Oh My Posh, and I've got like a cool cool fonts and glyphs. I'm going to go to GitHub, and I'll go to hanselman.com. And then let me go up one, I'll go down into my podcast. So I've got two different things here. You notice that I've actually got the GitHub branch, I've got the version of .NET. It's all like set up there with the cool glyphs and everything. So now I'm going to run win-git search, and I'll look for like, let's say .NET. And then when I do that, it's going to go and search the catalog here that win-git has, and you use win-git, to set up all your machine. There you go. See, I got .NET at the top right there. And then we'll go win-git search, and we'll look for like Node.js. And now we look there, I've got Node.js. So I can go and get all the software that I want, and then I can even, check this out, I'm going to switch over to a JavaScript that I made. That's like a list of the stuff that I want to have on my machine, right? So I want to have Git, I want to have PowerToys and stuff. So I put those in this JSON file, and then I can go back and I can say win-git import, and I'll say set up new box, and then I hit enter, and it goes and installs all the stuff that I would need to get that particular machine set up exactly the way that I want it. That's cool. Now, if I hold down Alt, check this out, I'm going to hold down Alt, and I can open a split screen. So I've got Ubuntu on the right, and I've got on the left Windows. And I've actually got my podcast website. I moved my podcast website over to .NET 5. So we got, there you go, there's HTOP. This proves that it's like Linux, right? So we got Ubuntu on the right, we got Windows on the left, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to Visual Studio. Okay, so here I've got my GitHub log, and you can see my branches and all this stuff. It's all integrated. This is part of the new stuff that we've got in Visual Studio for GitHub support. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that Ubuntu instance that we had before, and I'm going to just zoom in here at the top. See, it says WSL2. I can run it under IIS, or I can run it under WSL2, and I can actually hit F5, and I'm going to start a debug session. I'm running Visual Studio 2019 on Windows, but I'm actually debugging it inside Linux. Now look. See where it says user-share.net? It doesn't say C:\program files or whatever. That's literally using the .NET that I have installed inside of Ubuntu. So then I pop up Edge. Check it out. Localhost 5001. That's Edge on Windows running on my website that's running on .NET on Linux. A little bit of Inception, huh? Isn't that sweet? Whoa. Leslie, are you Teamsing me? I am literally right here.
Sorry, I do that a lot. That's all well and good, but I think I can do you one better. Mind if I steal the keyboard for a bit?
By all means, here you go.
Thank you. So you were talking about how you can run your apps on the server side in Linux, right? But you can do that with the client side too, right? So let's go locate the Ubuntu window, and I can show you. And let's open up GIMP. And as you can see, look, the window, it looks exactly like a Linux window. The cursor's changed. So we can take that even a step further, and in Visual Studio under the web browser, let's change it to be the Linux build of Microsoft Edge. So instead of just running your app on the server side in Linux, I can also run that app on the client side as well.
I'll believe it when I see it, Leslie.
Well, you will believe. So here we go.
All right.
Getting the local host all boot it up.
Yeah. Yep, there's my website.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, there's the website. As you can see, Tux the Penguin is chilling with the Edge logo here.
I don't know, it still kind of looks like Edge.
Seriously? Okay, so if you don't believe me yet, I can actually type in Edge version, and there you go. And there's Linux. Pretty sweet, huh?
I stand corrected.
Thank you.
I also use Linux in the cloud, so like GitHub Actions and places like that. I want to run my continuous integration stuff in the cloud. Can we do that as well?
Yeah, I got you covered. So have you heard of Playwright by any chance?
I have heard of Playwright. It's new.
Yeah, so it's a cool testing library that lets you automate your applications across multiple different kinds of browsers. So I have added Playwright to the top of my code here, and I've got a lot going on, but specifically we're gonna check to see if the app that I want to run and test is in a Docker container or a build server. If it is, then I can load up a headless browser. So the browser won't actually appear, but it'll still run those tests. But in this case, I'm not using a container, so we're just going to boot up a non-headless browser, and I expect the browser to physically appear in that case.
Okay.
I wanted to condense in a helper function that I have here called verify text, and that's something that I'm gonna have to apply to every test that I've written. I've written at least 10, haven't checked lately, but it's a lot.
It's kind of the same thing multiple times. Go to the page, look at the text, go to the page, look at the text.
Check to see that the links work, check to see that the title's correct.
Integration testing.
Exactly.
Cool.
In this case, I want to make my code a little cleaner and less repetitive. So let's change the await page line to my verify text and destination tags. So I only have
a little
to use
helper
one
function.
line.
Not a Playwright thing, but a helper function
Exactly.
that you made yourself. Okay.
Yep. So
and now we what? Watch you do this 40 times. That's exciting.
Hold your
Leslie.
horses. You know, watch the magic happen. I got you. So let's go ahead and do verify text a couple more times. Believe in the process. We're almost there. And okay, so if you notice, there's some little ellipses here. Let's zoom in. And that refers to IntelliCode. So IntelliCode now can infer what I'm about to do next based off of all of my past boring, repetitive behaviors and give me a suggestion as to what line of code I want to have refactored
So
next.
it's like figured out that there's a refactoring that doesn't exist and it made it.
Exactly, and it's letting me apply it to everything that matches that same pattern, which is great. So that saved me a lot of time and a lot of tedium.
And you cleaned up all my unit tests. Thank you for
I
doing
sure
that.
did. You're very
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Okay.
Once again, in the Linux terminal, we're gonna go ahead and do .NET test. And now all of those Playwright tests start up.
Now this is not running in a build server.
Nope.
So I would expect a browser to pop up.
Right. So the
This
browser
is not headless.
Exactly. This is not headless. Therefore, it should be here. There it is. Voila. Look, I'm not even touching. Just sit back and watch the test run. In this case, 23 of them run successfully.
Okay.
GitHub Actions actually has a Playwright option too. So I added the same stuff in GitHub Actions, and it will do the very same thing that we just did in Visual Studio.
There it is.
Magic.
I like it. We will we'll use that demo in build. Is that cool?
Yeah, and you know, it's not even just a demo because we have game developers like Blizzard, like Diablo Blizzard, using our tools to make their games. How sweet is that?
That is basically making us game developers. So
we actually have video footage of that.
All right, cool. Where is it?
I believe it's in your OneDrive last time I checked.
Okay, I will go up and I will beep boop bop boop beep boop.
We at Blizzard develop our servers on Windows, but we actually build and deploy them on Linux. When we experience a crash in our environment, we like to grab the core dump and figure out what went wrong. The actual goal was to be able to use Visual Studio, which is the tool set we're all familiar with and we love. The idea of doing that has always been unattainable.
We are able to develop a solution, validate the solution with Blizzard. It democratizes that whole process.
It's incredible.
Good stuff.
All right, I dig it. We can put that in there. We'll find a place for that. Let's put that in the keynote too.
Mm-hmm. Video games are always a great buzzword to
I love
have.
it. And seriously, I will crush you later because I literally have like,
Oh,
my
it's
Diablo.
on.
It's seasonal right now, and I'm crushing it in Diablo right now. All right, so check this out. There's actually a blog post that goes into depth about this, about how they do the debugging of their Linux core dumps using Visual Studio. There's cool screenshots of what's coming in Diablo 4, as well as like architectural explanations. This is all written by Erica on our team, and it talks about how they go and use this stuff. It's pretty sweet, and you can check out that blog post right there. let us recap. All right, so starting with Megan's slides, we've got build anything on Windows, blah, 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 marketing. Improvements in terminal and WinGet. We set up a machine. We use the new terminal. We set it as default. Linux app development, very nice, with WSL2 running Linux on Windows and also Linux GUI apps. And cross-platform UI testing with Playwright. That was hot. Dig it. Nicely done. I got a couple other ideas I just want to run by you all. I got this cool thing on Kickstarter. It's called a LumiCube. It's a Raspberry Pi in a cube, lights up, super cool.
Hey, Scott,
what?
Can we go through some of the other topics instead of doing the toy thing?
Okay, fine. Maybe not that. That's fine. I do have, however, if you want to be more official, I've got a brief hello world diagram that is in cloud native. So we can go a little bit here and just discuss hello world in the cloud, right? We just take about 45 minutes and run through this real quick? All right, cool. Let's do that.
You want to go check out some hot reload stuff?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I think I want to get out of here for a sec. Good luck.
Okay. All right. Well, we're doing this cloud thing. Okay. So it all starts with a guy in a red shirt.
Okay, lucky break. Anyway, I had some hot reload stuff I was thinking about putting together a demo for. I think that would be really cool to talk about. I'll show you what I got so far and maybe we can figure something out.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, did y'all say you needed a hot reload demo? I got a cool one right here.
Abel? What are you doing here?
What?
Of course I was going to be here. This is Build, the premier conference for developers. Wasn't going to miss this for the world.
Welcome. Show us what you got.
All right, check this out. So I'm going to bring this up in Visual Studio. And here's the source for this application. And this right here is where we build out our scenes. So I'm going to use the update model view method, and this is where I'm going to demo. First thing, let's snap this to the left, and then launch our application using the debugger. So here it comes. It's going to initialize. And next, I'll go ahead and click on OK. And here's our Minecraft clone, right? You can move around, you can look around. Notice there's an independent light source as well, and it's revolving around independently, casting shadows. So this is all written in C# and .NET 5. Pretty cool. So let's snap this to the right-hand side. And now we've got our app running in the debugger. And we know it's running in the debugger. We can do things like zoom in, and we can see how much memory it's using in real time, how much CPU it's using, right? It's in the debug session. I'm going to go ahead and make some changes to the code. Now, before this turns into a big giant thing, you got to bring your app down. Oh, just a pain, right? So much easier now. Check this out. You just type in your changes. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the time, which is the current time in milliseconds, to the create rotation Z method. Next, we'll go ahead and go to debug and apply code changes. Now, this is super cool. When I go ahead and click this, notice that it doesn't stop the debugger. It doesn't rebuild, right? You click apply code changes and bam, it just picks up the changes automatically.
That's super cool.
But wait, there's more, right? Check this out. Let's make another change. I'll remove it. I'll press Control S to save, and bam, it automatically picks up those code changes. How cool is that,
That
right?
is so cool.
Yeah.
You know how much time I lose just having to stop and start?
I know, because before, what did we have to do? We would have to bring our debugger down. We'd have to make the code changes. We'd have to rebuild our applications, fire up our debugger. Hopefully it remembers where our breakpoints are, right?
Yeah.
Now, you just make the change. So this right here will save you so much time.
This needs to go and build.
Yeah, absolutely. And developers, they need to run, right? And not walk towards their latest installation of Visual Studio and check out hot reloads.
Yeah, I gotta say hot reload is pretty hot.
Super cool. Well, I'm glad you guys liked it. Let me go ahead and send it to you so you'll have it. You can show Scott. Oh, also, I wanted to send you this other video of this new loading thing we're doing with the Visual Studio 2022. Oh my God, it is so incredibly cool. This is specifically for what? Gigantic projects, right? It loads it so much faster now. Let me send that to you as well.
That's going to be really useful.
You show up out of nowhere and you come with some of the best demos. Get out of here.
That's what I do, man.
We should definitely go tell Scott about this. Let's go.
All right.
See y'all.
I think we should recap this. Let me start over from scratch. I'm going to erase everything and just explain the whole deal to you again.
Hey, y'all. What have you been up to?
You missed some great stuff.
I thought there was a lot of conversations.
We saw an awesome demo that Abel showed us.
Abel was here.
Yeah.
Did not say hi.
It's not interested in that, Scott. Come on. It was an awesome demo on hot reload.
Was it spicy?
It was pretty spicy.
Okay, if you say it was spicy and hot, then we'll put it into the demo.
In addition to hot reload, he also shared this cool looking video on Visual Studio 2022 that we should check out.
Oh, okay, let's check it out.
Sweet. So this is a huge solution that has lots of files, and usually that would take a pretty long time to load up when you're booting up Visual Studio.
300,000 files?
Yeah, but I mean, look at that. The 2022 version, it's already up and running.
Oy vey.
100,000 plus
2.5
files.
minutes there.
Yep.
2019. The product that we love.
Yep.
Still going. This is 64-bit though, right?
Yeah, that's 64-bit. Yeah, much faster too.
300,000 files.
That is a lot of files.
That's bananas.
Yep.
I like it. All right, let's put that in. And come on, we don't want to forget my cube that I was talking about earlier. It's going to be hot. I think we could probably integrate it with.
Let's go get lunch.
Right.
Always a bridesmaid. This is so disrespectful. I have ideas.
Hey, lunch!
Yay.
Sorry, Scott. Microsoft bought me double meat. It's so good. It's better when someone else pays for it. I think it's ethical. This is 95% ethical. It's Nelson. Don't say anything.
Hey, Scott.
Hi. Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know you're in the middle of brainstorming your keynote, but have you had a chance to think about privacy?
Yeah, privacy is important. I mean, I know Microsoft runs on trust. I've done all the training. I definitely don't want to go down the wrong road. So I've tried to put as much thought as I can into privacy and security.
That's right. Microsoft values privacy and security to mean trust with our customers. I mean, this stuff is serious, Scott. Have you been taking time to consider ethics, globalization, one serving of barbacoa instead of 3?
I recognize that triple meat may have been an overreach on my part.
Scott, I better not hear about you downloading a key generator to access third-party software on a Microsoft device.
I will not be doing that anymore. I appreciate your feedback, sir. Hey, you're breaking up a little bit. We're going into a tunnel.
Wait, Scott? Hey, Scott, you might need to update the software on your Microsoft Surface if that's what you're calling me from.
Nelson, man. I mean, like, he's right, but I mean, I do my training, man. He's all up in my business. All right, after lunch, where were we at?
Actually, I think this is a great time to look at the GitHub Codespaces demo. I have a great demo, which we totally need to see.
Is that on your laptop?
Yeah, it's on my laptop. I can hook it up.
Okay, you want it here?
No, actually, I want it to be theater style. Yeah, it's on.
This was totally worth it.
Scott, you were all about positivity like 2 minutes ago.
I apologize.
Okay. You see this GitHub repo of mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am going to get you into a code space.
Okay.
Now, what is a code space, you ask? Well, it's an awesome dev environment in the cloud. It comes pre-built with all these dependencies that you don't even have to care about. You can literally get started from your GitHub repo, and you're right into a VS Code experience in the browser.
So I'm right into VS Code?
Well, it is VS Code with all its bells and whistles, but it's more, right? Yes, of course, I can go to files and open it, and like, let's see, I can look at index.js, let me open it, I'll show you how it's all the syntax highlighting, all the nice stuff that we're used to, right? But I can do more. I can go into my very nice and happy extensions marketplace and download my favorite extensions, which is...
Live share,
yes,
you work on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, you can't hate on collaboration,
No,
Scott.
it's good. So you're actually adding extensions, but you're not in VS Code.
No,
you're
I'm
adding
not.
it into the environment?
I am adding that into the code space. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I can use it just like I would in VS Code. Like I told you, it's more than that. I'm able to actually run and build this code without doing any setup. You see, I'm running npm run dev now, okay? And you'll see that this is getting built. You didn't see me install anything.
Well, you're on /workspaces/haikus build. That's not your C drive.
That's not local, right?
Okay.
The port got forwarded. You see that my app is active. It's on. Now let me go back to the code space and I'll show you something really cool. Now, if I want to add this port in a reusable way into the code space where nobody has to do any of the setup, right?
Sure.
I can take advantage of these awesome configuration templates that Codespaces has. We have tons of them, and you can customize. It's just like a starting point for you. This is obviously a Node.js app, so I'm going to use that Node.js one and going to like the default Node version, and that's going to give me this a dev container.json file, which is this fancy way for you to update and customize your configurations. Now, you saw me add LiveShare earlier as a VS Code extension. I can add that into my dev container.json, and that means that anybody who uses this code space, like on my team, will get it, right? And I can do the same thing for my port. I can name it something useful and then add it to the dev container.json, and then it's automatically over there, always. And the reusability of this, right, like to just get started for anybody is awesome. Now, you might imagine, how do I make these changes in the best way possible? I can literally just rebuild that from right here, and I don't need to do anything. It's almost like just refreshing my browser, all the changes that I made to the container.json file that you saw.
Oh, okay. So it's recycling the container.
Yes.
It's got all your extensions, your ports forwarded the way that you want it, all your settings.
And it's set.
And there's your installed CodeSpace LiveShare there.
There you can see it. Let me run this app again, right? And you already saw that I showed you the port and how it gets forwarded and built, and that's great.
3000.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
But one of the other cool things is now, if you want to look at my work while I'm doing it, I can make this port public for you. I'm literally going to make it public right now. And I'm going to team send it to you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and then go on, look at it.
I'll go over there.
It's magic.
All right, that is your dog. Cool, so that's the website. So I see port 3000 in the URL. It's turned into a public port.
Yeah.
And look at that.
It's a code space. None of this is cloned on your local machine. None of that's happening.
Okay. Now, this is the app, though. Can I see my own code space? Can I log in with my own thing?
So every GitHub repository can be a code space. You can start with a universal image, you can use template containers, or you can customize it. You can do whatever you want. It's really easy to get started and make it better as you go.
I dig it. It's got a dog. It's got code spaces. I'm sold. That's a demo, too. Let's put that in.
Awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and close the curtains. So we're feeling good about the inner loop. I like it. Dig it. Now, code in the language of your choice. I said it before. I didn't feel supported. I'm going to say it again, that this cube, I've got this cube, and I think it's cool. Okay? Dude, just come on. It's a cube. It's cool. It's lights.
It's getting kind of late.
Is the sun getting real low?
Can we do this later?
No, we're doing the cube. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's happening. All right. So it's called a LumiCube. It's a Raspberry Pi inside. But what's neat about it is that I can code it with Python. Right? We got really good Python support in Visual Studio Code. We can use PyLance, which is new and plugged into Visual Studio Code. So, like, can I just show you this potential demo?
That sounds
All right. Cool. We'll do that. It's going to be good. Let me sit down here, get this thing figured out.
I'm digging your sheep, man.
You like the sheep?
Yeah, I like
Yeah, that's eSheep. You can get that in the store.
Just did.
You got the eSheep? It's good. You can make custom sheep. It's nice. All right. I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code. You see, I've got Python, and I've also got PyLance, okay? PyLance adds some language server features to Python. Now, the code that this cube uses is Python code. So, like this right here is is RIPL. And if I hover over one of the methods, you can see that I get that kind of cool document tip there. We don't have to go looking for documentation. We get that code completion info tip that pops up right there, which is pretty cool. Now, if I want to use a particular thing, like if I want to say, let me see here, I don't know, time. Let's say I want to say time, okay? Time, dot, and then I could go and say auto import, kind of like usings in C# or other languages, and boom, it automatically brings in import time, and then I hit time, dot, you see, and it pops up all the different things that time potentially has, which is pretty cool. Gives you a lot more rich language service there for Python. You like that? So this is just a chunk of code that does a bunch of X, Y, Z type things in the different axes we've got on this particular cube. You know, it's pretty simple stuff, but it's kind of a RIPL-y code here, okay? Now I'm gonna run this Python code here that's gonna change the lights on the LumiCube, which, like I mentioned before, I got on a Kickstarter. Now, if I hover over set 3D here, you see how I get the rich documentation for that particular method pulled out by PyLance, which is pretty sweet. So I don't have to go back and forth and go and dig into how this particular thing works. Let's go ahead and run that. See? Look.
Disco in here.
Isn't that cool? Right, so the whole thing lights up, right? You can do all kinds of stuff. It's got like, what's it called? Gyroscopes and speakers and all kinds of stuff. It's not just lights, it's a whole thing, right? I need to use Python to do it, so I want to have as good of a feature as I can and rich language features that I get with Pylance. Okay, so back to the code here. That one is the RIPL code. I'm going to switch over to this Minecraft one. So the idea was, you'd mentioned, I think at lunch that Abel, we did some kind of Minecraft thing, right? So maybe I could integrate that C# Minecraft clone with a Minecraft thing and turn that into a Minecraft block in real life. So if I open up this REST book here, which lets me make a REST API call, I'm actually going to post the code and the graphics and stuff from my Minecraft.json in this VS Code native notebook environment right here. So this is kind of like Jupyter Notebooks, but it's the native notebook experience that's built into Visual Studio Code. So I can hit post. We just posted it. Okay, there we go. So I just posted the code to the LumiCube. And then if I push the button on the side here, where's the button? There we go. So like it's a Minecraft block, right? Or it's like, that was supposed to be sand. That didn't really kind of work out. TNT. So I want to like integrate it with the Python. The Python and the C# so that like if you touch something in the Minecraft world, the physical block like leaps into the physical world, which I thought would be kind of hot.
All right. That's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie.
That could be a thing. We could do a thing with that.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Any language, any platform, Raspberry Pi, everybody loves a Pi.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm surprised you actually know how to code.
Thank you for your low expectations. All right, I thought that was a good demo. Come on, give me a little something.
That's a cool demo.
Thank you for your begrudging respect. All right. I think that covers code in the language of your choice, right? We did Python, Felicia had Node, Abel had C#. We saw all kind of different things. We saw Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio 2019, Visual Studio 2022. That's pretty good coverage, right? I mean, we've got to feel good about that. In this demo, we saw the improved Python editing experience with Pylance, and then RESTbooks is kind of cool. And then, of course, I got to use my cube, which I carried all the way from Portland, which I thought was really nice.
Can I borrow the cube?
You can borrow the cube, and they got a Kickstarter, so thank you for the small business that offered us that cube to play with. So that's cool. And then if we look at like the whole day holistically, right, we covered WSL, we covered Visual Studio, we covered Linux, both graphical and otherwise. We did all the inner loop stuff. We saw the AI-powered refactorings, which was hot, the new GitHub stuff in Visual Studio, and then all the language stuff that we just talked about.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? As rehearsals go, that was pretty good. Like we could totally come back tomorrow and do this again.
Well, we did everything already.
Yeah, I thought we already killed it. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, so
We're one-shot wonders.
You are a one-shot wonder, Felicia. We do have a couple camera folks here who were here to take notes and watch everything. So we could theoretically ship this. Question is, would anyone notice and would I be fired? Guthrie's never going to watch this.
Well, you're on the line. I don't really care.
I think we try. I think we go for it. We ship this, we call it a keynote, and then I can go and I got other stuff. I got stuff to do. Yeah, okay.
Scott, if we're going to ship this, could you just give a note to our audience at Build?
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. Hey, we're going to ship this because, developers like to keep it dry, right? Don't repeat yourself. So we did it once. We did it awesome. We're going to call this the keynote. We appreciate you hanging around with us today, and we hope you have fun with the rest of Build and all the great both live and on-demand sessions. All right, cool. Even though we've been inside all the day, well, socially distanced, fully vaccinated, check this out. As we pack up from our friends at Window Swap, it's other people's windows.
That's really nice.
This is cool.
Feel outside.
It is nice to feel outside. So each time you click it, you get a different window. So let's pack up and we'll enjoy the sounds and views of the outside.
You know what? I'm actually going to go outside.
You're going to actually go outside? Well, I'm going to stay here because it's just like outside.
Later, Megan. Bye.
That was good. Stealing that. Am I just going to clean up on myself?
everyone. Felicia Shah here with Seth Juarez and Scott Hanselman, who, by the way, did such a fabulous job. Oh my gosh, you were so good.
Thank you very much. I was a little nervous. I thought you did a great job.
Well, I just try. But we also just saw Scott Guthrie get unplugged at home. What were the takeaways?
So 2 takeaways for me, super quick. Cosmos DB free tier and serverless. And number 2, PyTorch Enterprise. I love PyTorch, super awesome framework. I'm excited about the sport now.
I'm honestly really amazed at how much we're integrating with all these ecosystems, enabling everybody. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, in my talk, I thought that you did a great demo on CodeSpaces.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think just the ability to get bootstrapped into a dev environment and get going no matter what device you're on is pretty neat.
Have you all been watching the bookshelves of the different vice presidents? I really feel like I like a credibility bookshelf because Guthrie's read all of those books. I'm always zooming in and trying to figure out what
y'all are underplaying the amazingness of what y'all did because I was watching. I'm like, is this real? Is this not real? It is real. I learned a bunch of stuff. How'd you come up with this?
We just wanted to try to be as edutaining as possible, right? Build is a great opportunity for people to learn and to be entertained. So we try to do a little bit of both. So we had a great time.
This is amazing. Thank you. And great stuff, by the way, y'all. And Microsoft Build can be full of surprises. We heard something wild happen during your rehearsal, Scott.
What?
I don't know what it is. What is it?
Okay, so we were setting up the virtual teams, getting everyone organized. And okay, I'll just roll the tape. We got it all on Teams. Let's take a look.
Exciting.
Hey friends, and welcome. It's so great that you're going to be a part of Into Focus this year. And I think that everybody who's supposed to be here is present. Oh, hang on a second.
Hey, how are you guys?
Oh, wow. Hey, Satya.
Do you have a few minutes? Then maybe we can have a question or two?
I'm happy to answer questions.
Why do you think we should democratize coding? Is that what you mean by citizen dev?
More of the constituents being part of the journey is the way we're going to get the design right, the quality right, and the fit right.
Where do you see AI playing a role in coding today?
You're never going to replace human ingenuity, right? Most people think about AI. After all, AI does get created by people. I feel like we shouldn't abdicate our control of AI, but AI can be of great assistance.
I am curious about what advice would you share with us as we look to grow personally and professionally in the year ahead?
Not to wait for your next opportunity. And it sort of sometimes feels like I just tried to say it, but I've always felt, at least in my own context, I never felt that I was waiting for my next job to do my best work.
Well, thank you so much for your time, sir. I'm not sure how we're going to go back to rehearsals after this, but this has been pretty awesome. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Did we surprise anybody? You feel pretty good, friends?
That was amazing.
Pantip, you're okay getting up at 3 a.m? You still awake?
Awesome.
Yeah, I just feel woke up.
You feel woke up? All right. Appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, Scott.
Bye, Scott.
Wow, that was such a cool surprise. Seeing Satya there? I wonder who else is coming. Oh, wait, it's Julia Lucent, CVP of Developer Division at Microsoft. Julia, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you. So good seeing you.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to have you here because I just have to know, I know you've been a developer in the past and now you lead the developer division. What excites you the most about this space?
Well, I have been developer division and leading this space for a very long time, and I love the developer space because developers are always at the forefront of technology innovation.
Yeah.
So when I think about what we're trying to help developers to do, we're really helping to get developers worldwide and helping them to be successful at everything they do.
Mm-hmm.
And at Build this year, we're really focusing on the developer velocity theme. And if you think about it, all of the demo you just saw really, echoes that particular theme. So thinking about, helping developers build productively, take your idea and turn that into code. The great demos we showed in Visual Studio 2012 was how using AI to help you code even faster, the inner loop performance improvements, the hot reload demo. There's so many great stuff that we're delivering to help developers code even faster. Another great announcement Build is that for Teams, how we're helping developers building Teams application faster with the Microsoft Teams Toolkit. So that's another capability we're delivering. I'm super excited. And then we also know developers, they're not working by themselves. Development is a team sport.
Yep.
So GitHub is such a platform, a great global collaboration platform. So the entire team can come together and collaborate securely, on the platform. And then the capabilities that was demoed earlier, like live share and co-spaces, really allow developers to help each other out, no matter where they're located worldwide.
Yeah.
And GitHub with GitHub Actions, you can take the code you have developed and deploy it to any product and services. That's also such a great capability. And then the last piece I'm really excited about is really Azure as the global cloud infrastructure. And the ability to really scale down to zero, all the way to billions of transactions and millions of customers, and really planet scale. So that scaling capability to help you deliver to your business needs, to your customer needs, that is another thing I'm just really excited about. And so kind of connecting all of these pieces together, we're really trying to enable developer to use any programming languages, and you can build, use any operating systems, you can build any kind of applications, and any kind of services. And today I will also say from anywhere, globally. And then we want to help you do that in a really rapid way so you can, develop quickly and get value, time to market really quickly, and can truly realize the business value, the customer value in a much shortened amount of time. So like putting all of that together is what we think about as developer velocity.
Yep. I mean, it's such a great time to be a developer. Like everything you're saying just makes me want to get in, start coding. And honestly, we're seeing so many young developers get in this space, and it's tools like these that just keep them coming in and that we can support them grow in the industry. All of this is really, really great, Julia. I'm even more excited to see what you're going to talk about in the round table next with Scott Hanselman and Kevin Scott. And we're just getting started and excited to see what else you're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me here this morning, Felicia.
Yep. And now let's send it over to Scott Hanselman for a special deep dive demo. Scott?
Thanks, Felicia. Julie Strauss is with me. Julie, I understand that you've got an amazing demo for us.
I certainly hope so.
Let's see it.
Yeah, as you might have seen from Amanda's technical session, we did a full end-to-end of Toyota, an app they've built in collaboration between their pro developers and citizen developers. And we're going to take a look at that and peel out some pieces and talk a little bit about them.
All right, let's do it.
So the application they've built is really a vehicle quality app where whenever they deliver vehicles, they can look up the VIN numbers, which they actually have in their legacy system, and check which accessories are supposed to be in the car they're about to deliver, so they can check whether or not they're delivering the right accessories. So I'm in Visual Studio. They called upon their pro developers, obviously, to create a connector for the app to call. So I'm in Visual Studio. It's a very simple GET API where they call a VIN number and a model to look up in the app. And one of the really neat things that we talked about in Amanda's session is this ability to, with a single right click, to actually publish this API as a resource into Azure without ever leaving Visual Studio. So I can very quickly create a new resource, publish that into Azure as an Azure function I'm choosing in this case, and I can simply go and create that. I can either start from scratch without ever having done anything in Azure apart from having an Azure subscription and create the API. I can even instantiate API management, which can now host these APIs. And the reason I want to host an API management is because that is that bridge where you can have your whole economy of APIs, so to speak, that you can use in all your apps. But more specifically, you can push that into Power Apps, where now your citizen developers or yourself as a pro developer can just pick up this API and use it as any other data source.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say that with the help of the pro developer, you've made that bridge from a legacy system, a mainframe, a something that is now been given new life to have an open API written in one of the languages that Developer Division supports, and then you right-click, you say publish, goes directly into API management, and then that open API is open for anyone inside of Toyota to go and use, including our friends at Power Apps.
You got it.
Very cool.
Yeah, so let's take a look inside Power Apps and see what it will actually look like when I start to consume this API.
All right.
Which is now actually a custom connector. So here I am inside Power Apps. You can see all the different screens. Looks and feels a lot like PowerPoint, right? And we have pre-built components that you can very quickly use. I've started with a semi-empty screen here. I have a text field and then a simple input field. And you can see here it's called text input 3 because I'm going to use it in a minute. We have added this VIN number number just for testing the API as we go. And if I go into my data sources, which you see over here, you actually see this Toyota logistics system, which is that custom API that now is a API management connector and works like any other data source. So the user won't even know that this is a custom API.
Okay, so that custom API that we just made a moment ago, that pro developer collaborated on, made that legacy system a first-class citizen in our citizen development environment.
Exactly. And now I wouldn't know any different. I'll just work on it. So I'll pick a pre-built component because it's easy and just wire up this API to go and call that data. So I've selected here. I will simply go in and I will say Toyota logistics system. It comes up right there. And then I will call the get vehicle request, which is the actual API. And now I'll go and call that text input field that we had before. Text input 3, there you go, .text. And now, directly, I did nothing. It is literally calling up that this data is in that legacy system. You can see here, you can see the VIN again, you can see it's a Toyota Highlander, blah, blah, blah.
You got a live preview there.
I do.
And it's very familiar. That formula bar looks like, Excel and things, data sources inside of Office that I've used before.
Yeah. So for the citizen developer, this is really just like working in Office, right? But with the help of the pro developers, you're able to bring that data in and you get the same preview that you get for any other data source inside Power Apps. But it was really the accessories I wanted to look at. So all I do is add accessories. And now you see that level of data, like you see the alloy wheel logs. This is what is supposed to be on that VIN number. So that's a very quick tour of how you can actually bring the value, bring in the pro developer, help accelerate that. And obviously, calling this legacy system, the value is just so much more for the user using the application in the end.
That's fantastic. And actually, speaking of developers, we have a virtual live audience right here, and we've got some folks from our Microsoft community. And I understand that Cheryl, a developer, has a question. You are on, Cheryl.
Hey, Julie. I'm working with a lot of different apps with a consistent look and feel based on our style guide. How can we achieve that with Power Apps?
Ooh, that's a good one. We have really been focused on API and in, like how do we connect these legacy systems and give them a new UI using pre-built components, which is super easy. You just drag and drop and wire it up. But for those of you who have like company style guides or even components or UI elements you might have built for other apps, you can pull in React components, simply take them through the CLI and publish it into Power App, and you can reuse these components. So any React component you've built for any other app, you can simply reuse here inside Power Apps as well.
Wow, that really underscores the fact that the pro developer has a place in this world of citizen developers as a collaborator, whether it be collaborating to help get information out of legacy systems or existing open web systems, or bringing new and sophisticated custom UI components from a world like React into this experience as well.
Absolutely. And I think the cool thing here is it's all these building blocks where you can either reuse what you already built or build new, or even have the pro developer start using low code by assembling these. Once you deploy the app, it's one click and it's available on Android, iOS, the web, everywhere. So it's really simple.
Yeah, and to Cheryl's question, it's going to look like one of your company's apps because it is one of your company's apps.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay, this is fantastic. So where can people learn more?
Oh, it's very easy. You can go to powerapps.com or just follow the link here on the screen and go learn more and explore.
All right. Thank you so much. That was a great demo. Fantastic. And moving right along, coming up next is Nicole Herskowitz, business lead of Microsoft Teams, and she'll have a discussion with Rajesh Jha, Executive Vice President of Experiences and Devices. They're going to talk about how our new work normal is impacting modern app development in profound ways. Then our CTO, Kevin Scott, will take center stage, and we are topping things off with a fantastic roundtable, and we'll be taking more questions from our virtual audience. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Nicole Herskowitz, and I'm the business lead for Microsoft Teams. And today I'm joined by Rajesh Jha, and we're going to talk about Microsoft 365 technologies, how work is evolving, and the impact that's having on application development. Hi, Rajesh. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Nicole.
Well, so much has happened over the last 18 months. It's fundamentally changed the way we work, the way we live, the way we learn. What have you observed? What are your kind of key learnings?
Yeah, like we all know, it's been just an amazingly exceptional 12 months. The first, I think, as we all know, this is the year where everything moved to the cloud. People think work moved remote, but actually where it moved to was the cloud. And we saw that, firsthand. As you know, we now have over 145 million daily active users of Teams. So we are proud of the fact that we were able to step up and help our customers and our users to really use Teams to do collaboration, stay connected, and move forward with Office and Teams. But Nicole, I think 2021 is going to be different from both 2020 and 2019. People, employees, they want flexibility. At the same time, we got to learn a new way of work, hybrid work. So it's, we have a lot ahead of us.
There really are these new realities of hybrid work. And so,
absolutely.
So what are you seeing? How's Microsoft? How are our customers? How are our partners building applications? Are they doing anything different that you're seeing?
Yeah, we've talked about that a bunch, and we think of it as basically 3 different eras of application development, if I may. So the first era, of course, was GUI, the democratization of computing, moving to graphical user interfaces, Windows, the Mac, Win32 apps. And then I would say the next big era that changed the way applications got developed was with web and mobile. And that was about being able to work anywhere. The focus was still quite a bit on individual productivity. And now, during the pandemic, what's really come to the fore is team productivity, enabling a group of people to work together. And so we think this is the era of collaborative apps, where collaboration is at the center, whether it be synchronous in the context of a video meeting, whether it be asynchronous with documents and chat. And so with Teams, we feel we've got this user interface, the shell for collaborative apps, that really is about group productivity, sync and async. So that's how we think about it. Really, the application developers, both inside of Microsoft and to the ISVs we actually work very closely with, we see the same thing. Collaboration is going to have to be the core of new applications.
Interesting, this new concept, collaborative apps, this new app model. And it sounds like Teams plays this really critical role. Can you tell me a little bit more about what is a collaborative app and, what is the benefit? Why should developers care?
Yeah, when we started Teams a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, we did want to focus on putting Teams first, hence the name. And it was about group productivity. But we knew that collaboration was sync and async, sometimes in the context of a document, sometimes a shared dashboard, sometimes people needed to come together. And so at the heart, what it is about? It's not about a single application, it's about the way of work. And Teams is a new way of work. It brings all the app tools because of its platform. It brings meetings modality, chat modality, documents, third-party applications, custom-built apps all together. But we think collaborative apps are, at its core, it's about collaboration, but it doesn't have to just be in Teams. With Office itself, and yesterday Jeff Teeper showed how we are able to bring interactive components powered by Fluid right inside of Teams. But those same components can be in other canvases, such as Outlook or Office. So we think collaborative apps is about people, it's about groups, about group productivity. Teams, of course, is custom built for that, but it extends more broadly to the other applications as well.
So it really sounds like the power of kind of Teams plus the broader Office applications really provides this user experience or this layer for exposing these collaborative apps.
That's exactly right.
Now, there must be more. Is the Microsoft Cloud playing a bigger role here? What really are the various technologies that developers can tap into to build these collaborative apps?
You just take any classic application developer stack. So we've talked about the user interface right now, the shell, Teams being the shell, and interaction coming in the context of the work that people are doing in the flow. And so think of that as a UI layer or the experience layer, whether it be in Teams, whether it be in Office or in some other canvas. Then the application logic, with Teams, you can plug in your own cloud logic using any PaaS service, whether it's an Azure platform services or any other cloud platform services. Or you could also reuse the rich platform, the low-code platform that we have with Power Platform, so you can write your logic using any of that middle tier. Then at the data tier, we think there are two very important concepts. One is the Microsoft Graph. And the Microsoft Graph is really, it's the customer's most important database. It's where people, their relationships, the meetings, the documents, what's shared with whom, what's trending in an organization, that's all captured in the Microsoft Graph. Now, around Microsoft Graph, we've augmented that with some rich services. Yesterday, we talked about the Azure Communication Service that allows the interop of Microsoft Graph Power Teams with any other custom-built collaborative app that people go build. Fluid Framework is another service that sits on top of the Microsoft Graph, search connectors. So there's a bunch of stuff in Microsoft Graph. And then the other database that's really important also for our customer is the Microsoft Dataverse. This is where structured business process schemas live together. So you got, at the highest tier, you got Microsoft Teams and Office with collaboration at the center. Then you have your business logic, whether it be in Power Platform or any Azure PaaS service. And then you've got your databases that you could augment. You could bring your own schemas into these databases, or you could connect your middle tiers, your own databases. And then, of course, as we also talked about how we build professional developer tools, VS Code and VS and GitHub we invested to make these great development environments to build these kinds of collaborative apps.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And I assume at the core, there's also at the bottom a foundational layer with identity and security and all those good things.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in the end of the day, customers expect enterprise-grade security and compliance, and it starts with identity and tying into that all the security and the compliance policies. And so I'm very excited about the kind of applications that we've seen our customers starting to build, ISV starting to build, and how we ourselves are starting to build new applications in E+T or in Office.
Well, so that makes me, I was wondering, is this collaborative apps thing just a concept? Are there any real apps? Is Microsoft betting into this concept of collaborative apps? Do you have any examples to share?
Yeah, let's start with some of the work that we are excited to be doing with ServiceNow. We're doing something similar with Adobe and Workday and many other ISVs. But ServiceNow in Microsoft Teams, what we are doing there is imagine that you have a service incident. And when a service incident gets created, a connection back to the Microsoft Graph to find the relevant people to come in and work in the context of that incident. And then collaboration again at the core to resolve the service incident. And so with the APIs, you're able to immediately move into real time. And with Teams meetings extensibility, all the right artifacts of the ServiceNow ticket shows up in the context of the meeting. The chat captures all the async collaboration. So post-meeting, if somebody else were to hop onto that incident, the full context is available, whether you're inside of Teams or whether you're inside of ServiceNow. So this is what I meant by collaboration at the center. It is less about where the user is. It's about the user being followed with all the relevant artifacts and being connected to their teamwork. Another interesting one is Ernst & Young. They've built a bunch of these collaborative applications on Microsoft Teams. They've used Power Platform for their logic. They're using these applications both for internal use as well as customer facing for the entire life cycle of the engagement. And then at Microsoft, we are starting to build our new applications with collaboration at the core. So for example, take Microsoft Viva. It's about employee wellness and productivity and knowledge and skilling and learning. And we are building this using the Microsoft Teams extensibility, the graph extensibility, the ability to take all this content, put that into the Microsoft Graph so it shows up in the right place in Microsoft Teams. Super exciting.
That's really amazing. Exciting to see our ecosystem, whether it's ISVs, line of business apps being created that are these collaborative apps, and even Microsoft. So thanks for sharing those examples. Now I'm still just thinking why should developers care? What's in it for them? Why Microsoft, kind of stack should they bet on for building these collaborative apps? What's the value proposition for developers?
I'm excited about what we can offer developers here. First and foremost, an audience, 145 million engaged daily users in Teams alone. And if you build these collaborative apps, you get to be where the users are. The second is when you write these collaborative apps, when you build to Microsoft Teams, you can write ones and run on any platform, whether it be on the desktop, on Windows or Mac, whether it be on the web, or even on mobile. Because Teams, the platform of how it brings different applications and modality, is cross-platform. And then finally, and ultimately, it's the opportunity here is the economic opportunity to serve customers in this new evolving world. 2021 is the start of some new way of work, hybrid work. And the only way hybrid work is gonna really play out and drive productivity is by putting collaboration at the center and enabling teams to drive the right business outcomes.
Rajesh, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, everyone who joined us during this talk, and enjoy the rest of Build.
Thank you all for joining us today, and welcome to Build. I'm joining you all from my own home maker lab. Right now, I'm actually working on putting together an AI gadget, this little guy here, to help me with remembering to stand up and move around when I'm in long work meetings. I have a pretty interesting variety of tools here, which I always find super inspiring as I work on creative projects of my own. I'd like to talk a little bit about the idea of tools and how we as human beings use them to empower our own creativity and ingenuity, not just table saws and CNCs and oscilloscope like the things that you see here, but incredibly powerful technological tools like AI and machine learning that are increasingly becoming critical parts of every developer and maker's virtual workshop. If you think back to the very dawn of history, mankind has always used tools to solve our most vexing problems, turning our constrained, zero-sum problems into abundance, opportunity, and prosperity. Our tools allow us to expand the frontier of what's possible, from building a safer, more prosperous world to fostering our creativity and building community. Our tools are not just an essential building block of human society, but are an essential part of our own humanity. Over the past few decades, we've experienced a technological revolution that has put tools into our hands that are more powerful than our ancestors could have possibly dreamed of. The potential of technological tools like AI, the intelligent edge, and the intelligent cloud to profoundly transform almost everything around us is unprecedented. But maybe the most amazing thing is that right now, these tools can be accessed by practically anybody who wants to use them to help make their positive mark on the world. By combining the democratization of technology, the support of creative communities, and our own innate human curiosity, all the incredible power of these tools can be at your fingertips as programmers and creators. And the scope of what you can do with them is limited only by the boundaries of your imagination. So today, I want to encourage you to fundamentally reprogram how you think about applying technology as a creative tool. We're going to explore creative labs and spaces where people are using cutting-edge technology to create Grammy Award-winning music, explore the possibilities of programming for machine learning-powered edge and IoT devices, to start new businesses and build new applications with supercomputing scale AI, and solve some of the biggest healthcare challenges on the planet with biotechnology. I recently had the great pleasure of chatting with our first guest on my podcast, Behind the Tech. Ben Bloomberg is a creative technologist who imagines, designs, and builds everything from electroacoustic musical instruments to AI-driven performances and tours. He's a recent graduate of MIT, earning his PhD. Ben and his creative partner, Jacob Collier, have an incredibly broad curiosity and ambitious creative vision. They've used existing technology in innovative ways to make art and to build community around it. And when their creative vision runs into obstacles, like how to turn Jacob's layered, harmonically sophisticated YouTube performances into live shows in venues around the world, they've invented new technology to make the impossible possible. In their hands, technology, even AI, is an instrument. Let's have Ben tell us more about how technology has been able to fuel his lifelong creative journey.
I am a creative technologist, and I experiment with everything from sound design to software and hardware design. And I work with artists to realize crazy and interesting ideas. I grew up in a very musical family. My grandmother was actually a music teacher, and my grandfather was an electrical engineer. So I got really interested and excited about putting those things together. I had about 35 computers in my room. I'd like to take them apart and tinker with them. I love to imagine something and then build it. I found one of Jacob's videos at the end of 2014, actually, and just on a whim sent him a message, and then he replied. I've got a performance, and I'd like to be able to make the videos that I make for YouTube live in front of an audience. So, do you have any ideas about technology we could build that would achieve that? We really approached his project from the perspective of giving him more limbs. If he had 17 arms, he could play 17 instruments. We were thinking of the technology as sort of more like a bionic prosthesis. We want to give him superpowers. The first question we had was, how can we do this without making the audience sit and wait for him to build up all of these layers over and over and over again? The first part of that we thought should be what's called a harmonizer. Jacob specifically wanted to be able to use his to layer up these really complex harmonies really quickly. We only had actually about 16 days to build it. There's a Windows computer that's completely sealed and passive running in the box, and then there's some custom analog hardware. So it was really the combination of the harmonizer and this looping system together that allowed us to pull off his first world tour. I think it's really important to have the freedom to mess up and to experiment and to take risks. One idea that my advisor, Todd Mackover, pioneered at the MIT Media Lab was this concept where you have a performer expressing themselves through more media than just the instrument. We talk about sort of wielding an entire performance venue, lighting and sound and robotics and set automation and scenics. It will happen that like everything in our lives will sort of become instrument-like. I think IoT plays a huge role there. In the morning, you might try to find a way to choreograph your lights and your alarm clock and your coffee maker and the window shades to create these special, experiences. Technology presents an incredible new language with a huge potential for expression in new ways. The most important technologies going forward are going to be technologies that encourage us to be more ourselves. I would encourage everybody to build systems that help people celebrate who they are and how wonderful it is that we're all different.
Thanks, Ben. I'm amazed by what you and Jacob have created so far and really can't wait to see what you'll do next. Ben mentioned how excited he was to use a variety of home IoT devices to create immersive new experiences. The potential for using the combined power of the intelligent cloud and edge to program for a wide variety of IoT and edge devices is going to increase exponentially in the coming years. The opportunity for developers to create on this new ecosystem is going to be enormous. It's incredible to see what makers are already doing with technology and how powerful the hardware and software for innovating on the edge is becoming. I suspect that any of you who are part of that group will already be pretty familiar with our next guest and their work. MIT engineer Limor Fried founded Adafruit in 2005 with a goal to create the best place online for learning electronics and creating products for makers of all ages and skill levels. Today, Adafruit is one of the fastest growing US-based manufacturing companies, a certified minority and woman-owned business enterprise, and one of the biggest names in the maker world, creating phenomenally popular community-driven products and code. Let's join Limor to learn more about how you can get started programming machine learning at the edge with Adafruit and Microsoft technology today.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Lady Ada, and I'm here at the Adafruit factory in downtown Manhattan, where we manufacture all of our electronic goodies, from accessories for the Arduino or Raspberry Pi boards to our very own Feather and Circuit Playground Express. And we have a huge community of makers and engineers as well, with almost 30,000 Discord members, 1,500 GitHub repos, and weekly live shows, almost every single day. So we have a lot of insight into what makers and engineers are doing with our products, and we're always so impressed with how creative they can be. I'm going to show you a demo using an Adafruit Braincraft hat for Raspberry Pi and Microsoft Lobe. The Braincraft hat fits on top of the Raspberry Pi 4 and makes it really easy to connect hardware and debug your machine learning projects. There's a 240 by 240 color display so you can see what the camera sees, which is great for vision projects. There's 2 microphones for audio input And then GPIO ports so you can connect things like relays, servos, LEDs, or other mechanical devices that you want to control from your Raspberry Pi. Microsoft Lobe is a free tool that you can use to create and train machine learning models that you can then deploy almost anywhere. This takes care of the hardest part of machine learning, which is creating and training a new model. I've been playing with the idea of using a Raspberry Pi, the Braincraft hat, and a Raspberry Pi camera to recognize these delicious baked goods from my local deli. Now, these baked goods don't have QR codes or barcodes, and so that's why using a camera with vision recognition would be an excellent way to identify and price each individual baked good. Let's show how easy it is to use Microsoft Lobe to train a new machine learning model. We're going to create a new project called the Lobe Bakery. Now it's time to import image data. Click on Import and select your webcam. Now it's time to train the model on different images of baked goods. Let's start with the cinnamon roll. Place the object you want to train in front of the camera and select the label that you want for these images. Now take about 20 images of your baked good. You'll want different poses, angles, maybe flip it upside down. Okay, I've got about 20 images of this cinnamon roll. I'm going to continue doing this for each one of my baked goods. After I've verified that my model is correctly identifying all of my delicious baked goods, it's time to export that model. Go to the Export tab, and you can see all the options. You can create a web app, you can export it to TensorFlow, to JavaScript, you can even make your very own REST server, web app, or run it on a mobile phone using iOS or Android. In our case, we want to export it to a TensorFlow Lite model file that we'll then copy over to our Raspberry Pi. Let's start by SSHing into the Raspberry Pi. Then CD into the directory where I've downloaded the software. Now you can run the basic prediction project that's written in Python. Because I've already deployed the model, it's going to immediately start doing predictions based on when the Raspberry Pi camera sees. To start, it sees nothing. But when I put a cinnamon roll in front, the text will update, telling me the confidence and the label of the object detected. I can also try a cross bun or a bagel. Now, because we've deployed our machine learning model onto a Raspberry Pi, it means it's really easy for us to connect all sorts of other cool hardware. So I've got, in addition to the display, 3 LEDs that are going to glow green when something is detected. I've got a speaker and some text-to-speech code that's going to speak out what's detected. And I've even got a receipt printer hooked up that'll print out the product and the price. So let's try it with the cross bun.
Cross bun.
Or my favorite, the cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll.
Or the bagel.
Bagel.
There you go. Thanks, Lobe. We sell the Braincraft hat in machine learning kit for Lobe at the Adafruit shop, and we've got tons of tutorials to get you started on your machine learning journey. Now that you've seen how easy it is, I can't wait to see what kind of creative projects you come up with. Thank you to Microsoft and Lobe for making machine learning training so easy. Now back to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Lee Moore. I actually took a shot at building an Adafruit Lobe project of my own. The device that I was working on when you all first joined me was a little computer vision system built on an Adafruit Raspberry Pi Lobe kit running a Vision ML model trained with Microsoft Lobe. It will keep an eye on me when my monitor is engaged and remind me to get up and move around a little bit every 15 minutes or so. I started my engineering career over 30 years ago designing electronic control systems and writing embedded software. I'm just stunned by how capable these systems are today and how much I'm able to do just tinkering around in my spare time. Like I seriously just put this little device together in a couple of hours over the weekend. Now, let's change gears for a few minutes to talk about what we can do with truly immense computing power. Last year at Build, I announced our partnership with OpenAI to build one of the biggest supercomputers in the world. Since then, we've seen a ton of progress in large AI models and how we use them. We've gotten really smart about how to harness a certain set of algorithms and just massive amounts of compute in ways that have really allowed us to advance at a jaw-dropping rate. It's a mind-boggling amount of computing power, and we are speeding forward at an accelerating rate. But it's really important that we recognize that behind these huge supercomputers and behind the hype, AI is just another tool. It might be the most powerful and useful tool that we as human beings have ever seen, but it's only as useful as what we choose to do with it. Our modern AI systems are being used to solve a broader and broader range of problems every day. Big ML systems have gone from being useful to predict ad clicks and ordering information on results pages and in feeds to helping us explore space, solve problems in aerodynamics, design molecules, and to tackle NP-hard combinatorial optimization problems like those at the heart of the logistics businesses on which we all depend. When reading Science and Nature every week, I'm beginning to see folks using ML techniques in places where numerical optimization and differential equations might have once been used. In this sense, AI is more like a new form of mathematics, a tool to help us better explore and understand the world, than it is a substitute for human intelligence and ingenuity. Much of the world's progress on AI since the 50s, and even since the beginning of the deep learning revolution that started about 10 years ago, has been about AI systems getting better and better at narrow tasks. And in some cases, the systems have become superhumanly better at those narrow tasks. But the most interesting thing, and what we've clearly seen over the past year, is that we're seeing an acceleration and broadening of the cognitive tasks and of the complexity of problems that AI systems can tackle. I'm particularly excited about how AI can help us to be more creative, and how it can give us more space and time to do so. Last year, OpenAI launched its language model, GPT-3, and we were blown away by some of the early outputs we saw. From writing poetry to auto-completing lines of code, there have already been hundreds of businesses that have used GPT-3 to create new applications, including Fable Studio, which is creating a new genre of interactive stories and using GPT-3 to help power their story-driven virtual beings. Just a few months ago, OpenAI launched two new models, Clip and DALL-E. These two models work hand in hand and are intended to better equip machines to understand the world in the same ways we as humans do. We take in information not only with what we read, but also in what we see and hear. So if we can expose AI models to data in the same ways that it is absorbed by people, they should learn concepts in a way that's more similar to humans. CLIP, which stands for Contrastive Language Image Pre-training, offers a new way to make computer vision significantly more flexible in general, because the models learn directly from natural language, as in regular English like I'm speaking right now. Computer vision is important because that's how these models actually see the world. Next, we have DALL-E. The DALL-E model can generate an image based on a natural language description. Again, a plain English description, such as a baby penguin in a red coat playing the piano, or a pig with a scarf flying an airplane. We've even used DALL-E to harness the massive power of AI supercomputing to solve one of the most vexing problems facing creators and developers today, creating infinite variations of Clippy. OpenAI is still uncovering the full extent of these models' capabilities and evaluating whether they can be deployed in a safe, responsible way. But we're extremely excited about what's to come here and the possibilities that all of this will unlock. As I mentioned earlier, we know it's you, developers, who can use powerful tools like GPT-3 to create ambitious applications that will leave a positive mark on the world. So I'm thrilled to introduce Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, who has some exciting news to share.
Hi, I'm Sam Altman here at OpenAI. We're a research and deployment company dedicated to making sure that powerful, general-purpose AI is safe and benefits all of humanity. Last year, we made our 175 billion parameter language model, GPT-3, available to developers through an API in private beta. We've been amazed by what people have done with it so far. Developers are using GPT-3 to create realistic dialogue, summarize complex documents, answer customer service questions, and make search better than ever before. And those are just a few of the hundreds of applications in production today. We want to help push the boundaries of what powerful AI models can do and support really ambitious projects aimed at solving complex problems of the highest order. So today, we're delighted to announce the OpenAI Startup Fund, a $100 million fund managed by OpenAI, investing in startups with big ideas about how to use AI to transform the world. We're very happy to have Microsoft as an investor in the fund as well. This is not a typical corporate venture fund. We plan to make big early bets on a relatively small number of companies, probably not more than 10. And we're looking for startups in fields where AI can have the most profound positive impact, like healthcare, climate change, and education. We're also excited about markets where AI can drive big leaps in productivity, like personal assistance and semantic search. We think that helping people be more productive with new tools is a big deal, and we can imagine brand new interfaces that weren't possible a year ago. These aren't the only applications we'll consider, but they're at the top of our target list. And we're especially excited to hear from startups led by founders from underrepresented groups. We hope to treat fund companies as close partners and work alongside the founders here. They'll get early access to future OpenAI systems, discounts on Azure, and support from our team. We're really excited about the opportunity for startups, for the industry, and for people everywhere who can put AI to work, improving their lives. So, if you're a developer or an entrepreneur looking to build something transformational with AI, we'd love to hear from you. Applications are being accepted now at openai.com/fund. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of Build.
Thanks, Sam. Microsoft is thrilled to be able to support this fund. We think this will be a fantastic opportunity for folks to really make a difference with AI. The range of what we can do with these kinds of large AI models when applied to programming is awe-inspiring. But what can really change the world in ways we've only previously dreamt of is when we stretch the boundaries of our imagination and apply the benefits of massive ML models and AI supercomputing to solve problems in fields outside of traditional computer science. For those of us who are engineers or developers, we've spent our lives dealing with engineered systems. Those systems are complex, but nowhere near as complex as evolved systems like human biology. With today's massive computing power, with high-volume experimentation and laboratory automation, and with innovations like large-scale AI, we're at an inflection point of what's possible at the intersection of technology and biology. Using these technologies together, alongside the many advances in biosciences over the past 2 decades, increasingly allows us to treat these evolved biological systems the same way that we treat engineered systems, affording us greater understanding of how these complex systems behave, and in many cases, the ability to engineer them to do new and useful things. This means that solving problems that previously would have taken years of painstaking experimentation can be solved much more quickly, sometimes within days or even hours, by reusing engineered biological components or even creating brand new ones. We can now also split the hard work of experimentation efficiently between digital and wet lab environments. It's basically recasting biology itself as computation, giving us an immensely powerful computational biolab, and it's a revolution that's accelerating incredibly quickly right before our eyes. Let me share one very timely example of how this is happening today. Microsoft is excited to be working closely with Dr. David Baker, a professor of biochemistry and the director of the Institute of Protein Design at the University of Washington. His research group is focused on the design of macromolecular structures and functions. When Dr. Baker began his work at the University of Washington, he decided to focus on the problem of something called protein folding. Each gene in our genome encodes a unique protein that carries out a unique function, and it does so because the DNA sequence in the gene encodes a unique sequence of amino acids, which then in turn fold up into a unique three-dimensional protein structure. These protein functions encompass every important process in our bodies and in the entirety of the biological life on the planet. So if you want to understand how these processes work, how to understand and prevent disease, or better understand the world around us, you first have to understand the interactions between proteins. You can think of these interactions almost like the relationship between a lock and a key, where they have to fit together very precisely to work. So it's incredibly important to understand the geometry of the structures and how they interact, the same way you need to understand how the parts of a machine fit together to make it work correctly. Until now, figuring out the chemistry and the physics of each individual three-dimensional structure has been incredibly challenging and expensive. What Dr. Baker and his team have been able to do is harness powerful computing technology to develop methods to go directly from the amino acid sequence of a protein to its 3D structure, bypassing incredible amounts of time and effort and enabling breakthroughs never before possible. One of these breakthroughs took place over the past year as we battled a global pandemic, creating new drugs to combat COVID-19 at unprecedented speed. As soon as the genome sequence of the COVID-19 virus was made available, Dr. Baker and his team used the computational methods they've been developing to predict the three-dimensional structure of the protein on the surface of the virus, the so-called spike protein. When that spike protein is searching for an entry point for the coronavirus to attach to and infect human cells, it looks for something called an angiotensin converting enzyme 2, or an ACE2 receptor for short. The ACE2 receptor is the key to the spike protein's lock that, when engaged, allows the virus to slip into cells and wreak havoc in the organism it is infecting. Dr. Baker's team has designed small proteins that fold in such a way that they have a better match to the lock, becoming a more attractive target for the virus to latch onto. In doing so, they were able to create entirely new biological compounds that bound to the virus almost 1,000 times more tightly than ACE2. These were completely novel proteins, unrelated to anything seen before in the natural world. The team and their collaborators were able to determine in the lab that the small proteins behaved exactly as expected, blocking the virus from getting into cells. And today, their discovery is now headed for clinical trials. Just imagine having the benefit of having processes like this ready for the next pandemic, or to design completely personalized drugs to fight debilitating chronic diseases or cancer, or practically anything else that could be imagined in the biological world, all using software as a tool to custom build the precise biological molecules you need. It's something that would have been science fiction a decade or so ago, but it's being manifested as reality today because of the creativity and imagination of folks like Dr. Baker and his team. That innate human curiosity and imagination is exactly what I want to encourage all of you to give yourselves permission to use, to paint on an almost infinite canvas with the amazing technological tools we have at our disposal. We've showed you a bunch of these mind-bogglingly great technological tools today. Now, we at Microsoft and a whole lot of other people have been talking about this kind of technology for a pretty long time now, and it's understandable at this point you might think, well, it looks and sounds cool, but so what? Does all of this AI stuff actually matter? Here's the thing. The challenges that we have in front of us as a species are as big as we've ever dealt with in the course of human history. Just think about the scope of what we have to do to fight climate change, provide high-quality healthcare and elder care for a rapidly aging global population, combat the next global pandemic, and deal with a host of other crises that are going to demand an extraordinary amount of time and resources and impact your life no matter who or where you are on the planet. So all of this technology only actually means anything so far as it can empower the people who have access to use it to create a better future for all of us. We're building this technology in service of people and the problems they have. We're already seeing examples of how folks are creating some acute and impressive technological solutions for problems that we're going to face in the future. Using machine learning to identify plastic pollution in rivers and simulate how it moves in the ocean. These insights power passive cleanup systems to help remove plastic that impacts our ecosystems, or developing open source platforms for identifying and tracking wildlife, combining the strengths of AI and citizen scientists to help fight extinction. Our AI for Health team have developed a dashboard to track vaccine administration in the US and worldwide. To come to fruition at a larger scale, all of these kinds of things are going to require the innovation and ingenuity that only you can contribute. Part of the joy of using technology to create is that it should exist in a state of play. If it's not fun, we're doing it wrong. So I want everyone to know that Microsoft is committed to empowering whatever your creative dream may be, big or small, whether writing a song, creating software, or IoT devices that help solve the world's hardest problems, or potentially saving millions of lives through cutting-edge biomedicine. But to do so, we all have to expand our imaginations to unlock new and creative uses of technology that can be applied in the most powerful ways imaginable. If we do, what we can accomplish together can be truly amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, be safe, be well, and never stop creating.
Fantastic. That was a really thoughtful talk. Hey, everybody. Scott Hanselman here again with our esteemed roundtable. We have Julia Lewson, Brian Douglas from GitHub, and of course, Kevin Scott, fresh off of his talk. Let's dive in. That was really great. I love the motion graphics and the work that was put into that, Kevin. That was really special. I appreciate the effort that was put into that. A question that I have is that we saw a bit about how large language models and other massive AI models are going to transform kind of the act of creation. How do you feel that these tools are going to help society?
Well, I think the thing that's really exciting to me that I've certainly seen over the course of my career and we've seen really accelerating over the past few years is that when you put increasingly powerful tools into a broader set of hands, this miracle of human ingenuity happens, and people solve problems that we can't imagine. They see the world from different angles and perspectives, and just interesting things happen. And as the tools get more powerful, individuals have more leverage to create more impact in the world. And so as these AI models broaden, as like the overall tool set that we have as technologists becomes more powerful, I'm really excited to see what people are going to be able to do to solve some of these really big, vexing problems we have facing us as a society.
You know, Julia, Kevin makes a really great point because he says when you give people who are creative, who want to solve problems, the right tools, they can really make amazing stuff happen. Do you think that this is the best time ever to be a developer?
Absolutely. I think there's so many new challenges, as Kevin mentioned. Even look at this setup. We're in this completely hybrid world, which is completely unimaginable even last year. And when I think about hybrid, one of the very common questions I'm getting from my team is like, hey, we're thinking about going back to work. And what does hybrid workplace look like? And then we're thinking about, well, what does that even mean? We have people who want to come to work maybe 2 days a week, maybe stay home 3 weeks. And then, for any developer, you have your really big, beefy dev boxes. Like, where is my dev box going to be? And the natural answer is like, well, I think your dev box probably has to be in the cloud. That's the only way to support this really hybrid working environment. And so I think about with our code spaces announcement with GitHub and things like that, that really creates a great way for people to work creatively in a hybrid way. The other thing I think is super important is the flexibility of the toolboxes. And if you think about the Windows operating system, you can use Windows to build any kind of application. You can build Android application, you can build web application, you can build cloud application. The flexibility of the tools are so important. And if I think about our Azure announcement, how now you can use the same skills, building your application deployed in the cloud or in the hybrid on any Kubernetes cluster, that flexibility is also super important for a developer to take the skills they have and build applications for any scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Now, Brian Douglas, a lot of the conversation that we're talking about are open models and open tools. What do you say to people who aren't on the open source train yet, who aren't using open source in their day-to-day?
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. And just want to throw back to Lady Ada's example with the donuts and doing AI models there. There's a quote I love talking about. It's if you want to be a friend, if you want a friend, be a friend. In open source, if you could set up documentation or if you can jump in the community, GitHub discussions to be able to outline how to approach using code to solve problems like that, that's a great way to get started. And I could use the documentation on my projects. I'm sure there's a lot of other projects out there that could also use documentation. So definitely check out the feature GitHub discussions if there's any questions, open answers that you could provide as well.
That's a great point, because when you want to contribute to open source, you don't necessarily need to be a coder. You could be writing documentation or tests. You can be helping people. You can be doing tech support. Open source is for everybody. Now, Kevin, a lot of the things that you're talking about in AI, many of those large models are open. There's open AI. How important is that those things remain open?
Oh, I think open is critically important when you think about AI. We to the point that I was trying to make in my talk, and that the thing that I said just a few minutes ago, you want to have these tools in as many hands as humanly possible, because otherwise, we just don't know what they're really capable of. We will never understand the great uses to which they could be put unless we have lots and lots and lots of creators using them. So one of the challenges that we face with these big models is that big models require large amounts of compute to train, and the very biggest models that are on the frontier require a lot of expertise to build and maintain, and furthermore to do all of the things that we have to do to make sure that the models are safe and that they're being used responsibly and ethically. And so having an ecosystem like the OpenAI API and tools like the Power Platform's FX product that we announced yesterday, and like many of the things that Julia's team is working on, really lets us sort of democratize the access to these big systems, where we can invest in a big platform and put it into the hands of lots of people, so everybody doesn't have to have their own AI supercomputer just to get started.
Yeah, putting a lot of these things in the tools of everyone, making sure that all the tools are available to everyone, whether their bandwidth or their CPU is limited, making large developer boxes, like Julia mentions, available to everyone with code spaces is really important. Now, Julia, you've been involved in technology a long time. We saw you talking to Felicia about kind of your own journey. I'm curious how you have seen technology and tools evolve over the last few years, and where do you see it evolving to really spark even more creativity in the coming years for development teams?
Yeah, and I think that there are so many different dimensions we can go. If you just take AI as an example, and I think the point that Kevin made about democratizing is so important, where I think that we're trying to go is meet developers where they are. So let me give you an example. We believe like in the long run, every developer will be building AI intelligent applications. So if you don't know anything about a model, you can use things like Azure Applied AI services, and basically taking advantage of these models, kind of like an API to begin with. And then the next level is to say, well, I might have operate my own company data. I want to go train my own particular model. And then we have tools like PyTorch Enterprise that really helps you do your own experimentation and actually get your own model training going. And then at some point you say, I really want to work on one of these massive models like what Kevin has been talking about, that's fundamentally changing the dynamic. With that, you can think about how Azure is being this global AI supercomputer that you can do all of your trainings on that. So I think that is an example of we basically deliver all of these capabilities based on your need. So one of the most exciting for me is that how we're meeting developers where they are, using the tools and language that they are familiar with, and helping them build the business value that they're looking to do.
That's a really great statement that we're meeting the developers where they are. Brian Douglas, a lot of developers are on GitHub, and GitHub is where creativity and empowerment really sparks. How has GitHub been empowering developers most recently? I feel like GitHub Actions has really sparked a lot of things because GitHub Actions went to where the developers already were.
Yeah. And the beauty of this is that a lot of these GitHub Actions are open source, including mine. So I just want to shout out to Scott, your awesome t-shirt, Beyond CSS. I'm a Beyonce fan, and I created this thing called the Baybot, which is a Twitch integration to basically have some fun stuff to happen live on Twitch. And I actually deployed this on the Azure box using the GitHub Action, which is Azure Web App Services. And I'm able to leverage tools that Microsoft's given to me for free through GitHub Actions, but also other community members also deploying and adding features to this Baybot. And so I'm able to live on the air while live streaming. I can ship a new feature to the Twitch interactions and see that go to production on the power of GitHub Action runners. And again, a lot of this is open source. You can check out my repos, check out new actions on the GitHub Marketplace as well.
It's so amazing that we can do all of these things that we couldn't even conceive of even a few years ago, and all of these tools are available to us in the cloud, allowing us to be more creative and to do it, like you said, live, like we're doing this conversation live, and you're coding live on Twitch and other places as well. That's pretty fantastic. And speaking of live, what we're going to do is we're going to hand the reins over to our amazing audience. Let's see if someone has a question from our audience here on Together Mode in Teams. I think Jason has a question.
So this question's for Kevin. I saw your keynote and I was super inspired, but I just have one question. As a software developer, what's the one thing that I need to do to prepare for the future?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastically good question. I was thinking about this actually earlier this week. I've been programming for 37 years, and like the one constant that I've seen over those 37 years is change. And so, I think what everyone ought to be thinking about every day is how I can add new things to my toolkit. This has been a constant push for us